Crossover. Oh, killer crossover. Just crossover. It just crossed him over and danced to it.
Another victim to the crossovers. Cross him up and sit him down.
Time for the crossover, powered by Everlevel Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlevelconcrete.com. Hello, Michael Josh.
Michael Josh.
Was excited to see if you were going to keep it up.
It's usually Matt Josh, and it doesn't quite work as well.
His name is Josh Siegel. That's what I call him.
You make
That's my name for him. I always call him that. If he was actually a professional movie reviewer, I think his professional name would be Josh Siegel.
Oh, that'd be a great movie reviewer name.
Yeah, I think that'd be his name. And it's not exactly Ebert and Siegel, whatever it was.
Siskel. Siskel and Ebert.
Little off of that. I always call him that in my head whenever he's doing his movie review.
Josh Siegel.
Josh Siegel.
You should. Well, Josh Johnson is
Would your
good.
top 12 movies be Siegel's Flock at the end of the year?
Yeah. Pretty much has to be, right?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Would you have a bunch of Jason Segel movies in there?
It would be a special unit each
Please
summer.
God, no.
Siegel's kind of honk a little bit, right? Like it's not like
Yeah.
a full on. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you could have a whole
More of a
like
goose.
3 honks for this movie. Like you could go, your system could be off of honks.
I would love that. I think the honks would be hilarious.
We have the honks.
I give
And
this
then you
movie
get that
5
bird
honks.
kid to make the noise for you.
Oh, yeah. We can.
Oh, the
Have you
kid
seen
from
the Bird Kid?
He's incredible. He
Oh,
was
yeah.
on CBS Sunday Morning.
I assumed someone was going to bring him on.
Yeah. He was on
platform.
CBS Sunday Morning. He was incredible. Can we go a little old man for you guys?
Please.
You're 35,
I am 34 now.
34 now,
Yes.
and you're 36.
38.
38. Okay. I'm old, right? So I'm going to tell you guys some old stories real quick.
Great.
You were talking about Caddyshack a little while ago.
Yes.
Golf in the 80s is not golf in the 2020s. Okay.
That makes sense.
When I was playing golf regularly, all over the place, it was not the same. We threw clubs, we played loud music, we wore tennis shoes. What you saw in Caddyshack was kind of what happened. And remember, on the PGA, we had guys like Jack saying really nasty things to people he was playing with.
Yes.
Just insulting things. You had Calvin Peete getting a fight on a green with a guy. Okay, one of the few black golfers in our time. You had golf where people would just show up, right? No time, no tee time. On like the third hole, just start playing.
Yeah, they didn't.
All over the country because people didn't care. Caddyshack was crazy, but a lot of that I bet they took from real life stories of golf in the 80s. Because the golf in the 80s was really strange.
Would you prefer it to go back to golf in the 80s?
I was telling Josh outside, I am not a nostalgia guy. I don't want to go back. I certainly don't want to go back before we had things like penicillin. I don't want to go too far back for sure. But I will tell you, in the 80s, yes, we did have more fun. There was no retribution for somebody pulling up a video or audio or a tweet that you did. So we were allowed to do a lot of really stupid stuff without really having to worry about it. So the level of anxiety in the average person was really low.
Well, golf,
other than that, I won't go back.
Golf is still used as like, some people will say, hey, we're on the golf course, anything, you say whatever you say out on the, like, that still exists.
Yeah.
Now
Connor loves locker room talk.
No, I don't. No, I don't. I get weirded out about some of that stuff. But the picture is a lot cleaner than you're describing.
Because of HD.
Because of, oh no, not watching it on TV.
That made a lot of difference too.
Not watching it on TV. Yes, I imagine.
That's another thing I would not want to go back for. I would not want to go back for the quality of television we watched.
Baggy pants.
You couldn't see. You couldn't see the game. You couldn't see what was happening in the football game on a regular television.
I know. I've watched a lot.
It was really bad.
Do you know what the first like major sporting event you watched in HD was?
It was hockey. It was on Fox. It was the first one I had watched. It was they promoted it as being this new look of TV. Okay. And I remember watching it and thinking, it looks pretty good. And then I realized right away, I was like, oh my God, I can see the puck better. I can see the puck better because you could always kind of see the puck back in the day with with standard definition. But like now, it's hard to lose it like it used to be. I mean, you had Fox having the glow puck just to help people.
I loved it.
And then we got HD and we didn't need the glow puck anymore.
Refs couldn't see the puck last night.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, hockey's still going on?
Yeah.
Who's playing?
It was really good.
Canadians versus not Canadians.
Okay, wait.
Now that would be a story if the Canadians were still playing.
Let's have Michael guess.
Oh yeah, he
Let's
probably
have
doesn't even know these two are teams.
Okay, so I would get it's been
there's
a lot
a
of
west
warm,
and an east.
It's a lot of warm weather,
and they very much are west.
I
and
know,
east.
I do know that Carolina's really good because I watched them kill the Flyers.
That is,
so I'm guessing it's Carolina.
The Eastern
I think the
Conference
Flyers scored a goal and they scored 29. So I watched one of those. I have no idea. Vegas.
All right.
First
Vegas
crack.
Vegas has been good.
Yeah.
I actually went to go watch Vegas play to practice when we were in Vegas one time. Went to that little place where they practice.
That's right.
And we went over there. It was kind of cool. So it's Vegas and Carolina. And how many games we in?
Game 2 was last night. It's 1-1.
Oh, okay.
It was a good game last.
Great.
Still no Canadian team is going to win again.
No.
That's correct.
That's kind of
1993.
Was that Vancouver?
Seems accurate.
I remember Vancouver, and there were these people having sex in the street. Do
Toronto.
you remember that?
Oh no.
Canadians.
Canadians. Okay.
Montreal.
There was a Vancouver won a game, a really big one, and there's a shot of these two people as everybody's celebrating in the middle of the street having sex
nice
on the ground.
Would this have been 94 when they were playing the Rangers, maybe to set up?
That's probably
Later
right.
in that
They won a
series.
huge game. People were talking about how this is Vancouver's going to win the title and everything. I was doing shows back then. So it would have been after 2002.
So they played in a Stanley Cup Finals. I want to say against San Jose, maybe. No,
That-
they would have been both in the West.
Yeah, that
could
wouldn't have been the
right.
same thing. It
They
was one where they were. I don't think they
were
were in the
definitely
finals.
in the finals in the early 2000s.
Well, I was doing the show and we kept showing the picture over and over because it was kind of funny because these people were just in front. There's all this mayhem happening behind them, and there's these two people in the middle of the street. And I was like, that's Vancouver right there.
That's right.
That's why they put a U in their name.
That's what Vancouver does.
Exactly. Sex in the street.
Okay, Michael,
Yes.
go ahead. Tell us your problems.
Okay, so I was saying that you have Christmas in June.
Yep.
And this is Festivus in June.
Yep.
Okay, the first one is just a little silly. You guys were doing your mailbag. And the
I have an
mailbag
opinion.
question on you were doing mailbag on the Locked On show.
Oh,
And someone asked about using the BCS to pick the teams. And you guys acted like there weren't a bunch of metrics to pick the teams.
there are a
Because
bunch of metrics.
you know how I know their metrics? Because people like Dave
Dave
Bartu
Bartu,
predict them every week and they're perfect.
Yeah.
So they have all of those.
But they
It
don't.
wasn't-
But what I said at the end was they don't say specifically.
we
like,
know what they are.
Yes, we know what they are.
We know what they are.
Right.
But we probably don't have the math skills that a guy like Dave has
But then they
to be able to do it.
they leave the caveat of
Eye
oh
test.
well we have the eye test
They
so
give
we
it,
can
yeah.
kind of do whatever we
They
want.
give you a little of the eye testing,
Yeah.
but in the end, they all come out. And matter of fact,
It
if you
comes
go-
out this.
if
He
you go back and
predicted it
look,
correctly every time.
How many times did the BCS one fit perfectly, right?
Yeah.
With the one that they did with the way they're doing it now. So that wasn't, I just thought that. Also, how do you not mention your teammate and coworker when you're talking about people taking away privileges to the media?
Oh yeah, Josh.
Yeah, you
Oh, no,
gotta
I was-
drop
I was-
Josh in there.
I was thinking about it the entire time.
You
I
gotta
just
drop
didn't-
Josh in there.
I didn't know. Yeah,
You gotta be like, occasionally they'll get mad on something, no matter how silly it is. And
I did
they'll-
mention
they'll
that part.
They'll limit your access.
Yeah.
The question was about how they were talking about the Indiana Fever reporter and how he lost
Sure.
his access. And so they were asking the question of, do we worry about it as covering
I
Nebraska?
feel like it's pretty rare at Nebraska.
Yeah, I've seen it happen 5
it's
times.
kind of my takeaway.
5 times
Yeah.
in Nebraska.
Yeah,
Our good friend, maybe not to all, but Sean Callahan,
yeah, with Bo,
who got punished
about
for-
the Bubba Starling, Peter.
No,
Gammons
but
thing.
his initial time he got in trouble was over the injury to the linebacker, the kid who played safety at Miller
John
North.
Fisher.
Yes, he reported because his dad had told him, and they hadn't reported it yet. So he got like a week.
He did something with
In the
Peter
shoe.
Gammons based on Bubba Starling that drew Bo Pelini's ire.
Oh, I remember that too. Yeah,
Yeah,
but I
that
don't
was
think
like
he
a
actually
big one.
got his credential.
I don't think
pulled.
anything but he got dressed down.
Yeah,
very,
well,
very-
many people got
Yeah.
just down by Bo Pelini.
Yeah.
John Niatawa once.
Really?
Yeah, it was really silly. It involved John laughing at something that was happening behind the group rope, and Bo lost it on him and like put him out of practice.
John
That was one. And then
Bo
there's
pulled everybody's access that one
Yes.
off season.
yes, and then also remember what happened at the Oklahoma game where he just took all the access away. He didn't make Oklahoma. He didn't make the players available to us against Oklahoma. So he had several. That's the only one. And then of course Josh, who was trying to do some scouting, some
spotting.
Thank you. Trying to do some spotting, and then they wouldn't give him his credential because he told a story that wasn't his to tell.
Everybody will get over that. That's
Everybody will get over it. I don't know. Josh is never getting over that.
Here's
Josh-
some other-
I
Josh
will never get over Macho Grande. He will never
Yes,
get over that.
correct.
Josh probably will not get over that.
He will
Yeah.
never
But
get over
if
that.
if he went back, I guess I wonder if he went back and asked for a credential for this year. I don't know if he will, but if he did, I'm sure it would be
I think
granted.
he's going to probably. I mean,
Yeah.
he's doing the spotting stuff.
probably
again,
do
right?
a couple more games. I'm sure it
we
would be
haven't heard.
granted.
We're holding up our big red overreaction. draft
Exactly.
to
He's
find out
doing
about
spotting,
it.
so he doesn't have to do big red overreaction.
Well, we
That's
don't know yet. I don't think he knows.
He doesn't know yet.
Yeah.
Well,
He hasn't told us.
well, I think if he asked, I think they would give it back to him.
I agree.
I think they would.
Yeah.
But the feelings will never go away.
Do you remember the Minnesota game? I think 2019. It might have been 2021. I can't remember which of the two. They were mad about some comment that was made on Twitter by Chris Heddy. So they didn't give out a travel roster for that game. That was a Jared Lambrick special.
Wow, I do not remember.
Didn't disseminate a travel roster.
Right, because if it was 19, I was still working with Heddy.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I can't remember the exact thing that was said. It involved Chris Heddy and Twitter.
Yeah.
And so then Jared Lambrick basically told everyone that they weren't getting a travel roster because of Chris Heddy.
He actually told you that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, not like a public.
Oh, okay. That would be awesome.
That,
attention, everyone. It's his fault.
There will never be a group of people as petty as that individual and that staff, mostly because of him.
Yeah.
I mean, he called me up and told me that 24/7 Sports was never going to break another recruiting thing before because I had put out there that they were going to have an event during like March 14th or 15th, right around the world ending, in 2020.
Yeah.
And they canceled it. And I found out from Jalen Noel, of all people, that they had canceled it.
Yeah.
And so I just put a story out there. This event isn't happening. Lambrick calls me up like the next day, and he's furious because he didn't get the opportunity to, let everybody else know that this was not going to happen. And
wasn't your story
phone
to tell.
blew up that night, and he had to do all this work because I hadn't sent. And it's like, well, Jared, I actually sent you a text. You didn't respond. So after about 45 minutes, I ran the story because you didn't respond.
Mm-hmm.
And so then he's like, you're never going to break anything again. We're going to feed your competitors. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. You tell Brunson BC that they're going to have less access because of you, blah, 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 blah.
This is on the phone.
This is on the phone.
I haven't had a conversation that long with someone who's not my mother in years. That was a long conversation.
You got on the phone with Jared Lambert. You're on the phone for a little while.
Really?
Yeah.
I talked to him 2 or 3 times, and I mean, he was fine.
No, everything was fine. And then we had
a
a run of things where it's like he wanted to know what our source was on this, which is not something like he would play these games.
Yeah.
Like, here's more access if you do this for me.
Right.
That's what he was.
Yeah.
I have absolutely no problem airing any of this.
No, I'm
that
sure,
guy was
and
a
you
jerk.
shouldn't.
He's an asshole. I had no enjoyment.
You only can say the half part. You have to go 2 ass halves if you want to say it on the air.
It's okay.
But that's fine. We should be back by now. This is what I think about that. I think that they all were so incredibly wound tight because of how bad 18 went that everything after that was overly sensitive and just not handled professionally because if 18 would have gone just decent, right? They play the Akron game. Maybe they go 5-7. Maybe they go 6-6, and they actually win some decent games, and they don't go start 0-6. I think their whole attitude going forward is a little different. I think that just messed them up. And that's being immature and inexperienced to have that happen. But I think that's what happened to them.
I mean, it's just rabbit ears. It's being worried about everything else around you besides winning the football.
Do you know what else you want? So I guess again, this is statute of limitations. So do you know, because some of the former players were saying some things about what was happening or what wasn't happening, that they had a member of the staff who was a member of the staff back when these guys were actually playing, call them and ask them to stop doing that, and or tell them how much the university helped them in their lives and they wouldn't be where they are. They should not be saying these things.
So dumb.
And one of them in particular, God rest his soul, Matt Verzal, they actually went to the pizza place and tried to talk to him about not saying things about the program.
Good luck.
And he told him to
not going to help your cause there, probably.
Yeah.
Because it was so silly. But they had Ron Brown calling people and saying, hey, don't say these things. I look how much I take care of you when you were a player. Why would you do this now to the program? I mean, that's who they were. And I had that video, and that video was all about.
Okay, now you're about to be in another video. I
was really excited.
Both
the Saints were down 19-0. They came back. They beat the Falcons that day. So I go to this thing. I don't want to be there. I'm sitting between 2 people at the time I did not know, and so they're talking about how maybe it was unfair that Frost got fired or whatever. And I actually blacked out and just talked, right, for however long it was. But there's so many other things that are still haven't been said. I know there's a guy working on a book. I know that because I interviewed with him. About 20 other people have talked to him. There's a guy who wants to write a book. Again, there are so many other little things that happen.
Yeah, it's like an everyday deal. Yeah.
Every day there was something that happened where you said to yourself, who at the age of that point, almost 40 years old,
that's it. It's just
make that choice?
Immaturity, just complete, like that's it across the board.
It's not being ready for a job, which I've had. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I've taken jobs because I was told when I was in college, look, man, just fake it till you make it. I've taken jobs before I was not ready for and just worked my way through them and probably made lots of mistakes, but none of them at the level where I'm the highest paid person in the state.
Right.
I'm in the head of the front door of the university. Right. Right.
It's not supposed to be.
Yeah.
According to some.
We're not supposed to be what? I missed that.
Well, he just wanted to go to the store or something like that and enjoy his anonymity.
Go to the Grand Canyon if you would.
Yeah.
It was funny when they were talking about how he could go places in Orlando.
He brought it up immediately, like instantly.
Yeah, I could.
Well, he's like, I really don't like it there because I couldn't go places. Like, really? That's why you didn't like it?
The first press conference. Any of you guys at the first press?
Yes.
Okay, you're at the first press conference, right? And I'm sitting
when he said what he said about his family
off to the left, and
I was
Dirk
standing right
like,
in front of him,
right over here, and he said it, and Dirk turned. And I looked at him. I was like,
yeah.
I just texted his mom yesterday.
There was like probably, I don't know, 12 people around in that little area right there. And everyone was like, dude, what are you saying now? Like, why are you even saying this now?
Why would we be attacking your family, bothering your family? Or why would we be doing that?
It was out of and it absolutely caught everyone by surprise. It was standing there.
Dude, the person that was most right about that tenure, and it's not even close, 99.9% right about what happened before it ever happened, was Henry Cordes. Henry Cordes sat near me at the Omaha World Herald. I could see his desk from my desk. Obviously wrote the little book about Scott and all that stuff, right? But he also wrote other books. And writing Unbeatable or Unbeaten, whatever I can remember the name of the book, but writing that book and talking to that many former players, he was like, yeah, that's not working. It's not going to work. He said it when the first rumors around week 6 or 7 hit, he said it's not going to work. He goes, he goes, too many people aren't going to be on his side because of the way he acted. And he first of all, he's not coming back. This is his dream job. He's like, he's not coming back. He's not going to work. He said that right away. And he wanted to write a story. Again, statute of limitations. He wanted to write a story about all the reasons why Scott would not come back because of all the animosity. And I don't believe he ever wrote it.
Would not have been received well.
It would not have been received well. But it would have been a great.
If that was still sitting there.
Yeah. You go, look, this is what I was going to write. All of this.
Oh, man.
This is what happened.
You're saying he wasn't overly involved with the comic book?
No, he was not. He didn't do the comic book. The comic book was Matt Haney.
No.
Who's incredible as an artist. But
right.
Yeah, the book was, and he learned stuff in the book about the 94, 95, 96, 97. He learned stuff that we did not know. And he put in that book stuff that we had never known before. He broke a lot of stuff in that book, and including where Scott was at the house when Lawrence got there, he broke all that stuff, right? He had police reports that never been seen before. He also wrote some stuff in there about what happened in that 95 year where Scott was treated pretty poorly, right, by those players, people like Jason Peter. And he wrote about that as well. That's a whole part of the book. And you read that stuff, you're like, why would that guy ever want to come back here?
Yeah.
And what happened.
Then he did.
Yeah. With that said, Darian Mensah is a great quarterback. And I can't believe you besmirch his name by saying he's overrated.
He's fine.
What was the number I gave you? It was like 36 touchdowns and
no, it was extreme.
50 something touchdowns.
It was like
12 interceptions.
56 and 12
over
2 years.
Yeah, over 2 years.
Yeah. We had 36 last year to 6 interceptions.
Maybe I just get bothered by him because every time I hear any conversation about him, it's concerning what school he's trying to elbow his way out of. Someone's just stay at the same school, okay?
Well, that's not, good and well, but that's not the way it works.
I know.
And if the funny thing about it is this business, because I was just listening to these guys talk about it. FM radio, not AM radio. That's what FM radio was forever.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You would become a really good DJ, get popular, get a show, and then you would go to the next place. And then you'd go there for a while, and maybe the ratings weren't great. You go to the next place. And you'd be someplace in 12 years, 6 different places, right? Because you were actually good at your job, and people were willing to give you more money. That's what college football is.
Yep.
You know, that's fine. I always wanted them to get paid. I was always a proponent saying they need to get paid. I never understood them not getting paid. My example was this. When I was in New Mexico, the kids at the University of New Mexico actually filled out the genome. They finished it. The students did. Think about that. We tried to do the genome for all these years. The students there at New Mexico finished it, and they all got paid for it. They were all on scholarship there. Should they not get paid for it because they were on scholarship?
I have no problem with
Right.
anybody
And
getting
so
paid.
that was always my argument about them getting paid. Now, what's happened without the lack of rules and oversight and all of that, obviously it's ugly. But I will say right now, college ball right now is better than it's ever been before.
From a what perspective?
Playing on the field, the competition, the talent level, it's as good right now. The way it looks on television, the way it's being produced on television, the way the plays are being called, it is better right now than it's ever been before.
But
that's all I really care about.
It's as close to the NFL as it's ever been. I mean, there's no doubt about that. That is what I've come to dislike about it.
Well, you know what's funny? The reason why it's not—
I don't dislike the sport. I love watching college.
It's not because of
stuff.
college, Connor. The NFL is copying college more now.
Right.
The look of the field and what they're doing,
they're
and
doing
the run
more
pass
stuff,
option, they're taking everything that college is doing.
The innovation for the NFL is coming from college, which their innovation was coming from high school offensive coordinators designing stuff, guys like Gus Malzahn.
Yeah.
I don't care where it comes from. The lines are just the lines are way blurred now.
Yeah, they are.
And I don't I wish they weren't. I wish
it's hard for me because I did not grow up a complete college fan. I was an NFL fan, even though I've been a Penn State fan my entire life, and nobody who's a Penn State fan agrees with you on James Franklin.
Well, they have Matt Campbell now.
None of us. We'll see how Matt Campbell does. We need to change.
They got Matt Campbell.
It's like sitting there and you've been in a wedding for you've been in a marriage for like 12 years or whatever, and all your friends are looking, going, you know what, you guys probably need to change. You need to change. You probably need a new look, and that's how we all feel about James Franklin. We needed a new look. It got kind of painful after a while. The lack of quarterback development and the fact that he interrupted every offensive and defensive coordinator he had and decided to make his own calls at important times during games.
They won a lot of games. They left a lot on the table.
A lot on the table. And so because of that, many of us are like, you know what? Do I like that it's Matt Campbell? Am I glad that James Franklin's gone? It was time. It was time to cut bait. He just had to go. But anyway, so I was a Penn State fan, yes, but I was an NFL fan. So it's a little bit harder for me to relate to the way you guys feel. And I understand it. If it was an NFL thing and you guys were talking about, then I would be able to relate better to it. But the only time I watched college as a young person was for the draft. So I could do my draft reports and be a geek.
Right. So, I mean, it helps the NFL product that the talent is better.
Yeah.
And the two lines are blurred together. And
Yep.
like why I like college football is because it was not because it was weird in particular, but it was sort of regional, and there's just things that you kind of come to expect about it. Weirdly, the thing that was cool about it was that there wasn't a lot of parody, you know. And
do you like that?
I don't know if I like that or not, but I knew what to expect, sort of. Not necessarily as it pertains to who wins the championship, but kind of what these teams are like every year, and sort of when you slot stuff in. Like, I think I like that. I just like the consistency of it. And now there's a gigantic string of inconsistency with the sport. And I don't know where we're going to end up with it.
I remember it was 2016, and we were at my house, and it was Thanksgiving, and my wife's dad was there. Tom Powell was there, old guy, and they put up the top 25 on the screen, and he was like, "Yeah, who are these teams?" He was TCU. He was just looking at these teams and goes, "Who are these teams? I don't know these teams," because it was the same teams for the first, probably 50 years of his life. And then all of a sudden he was like, well, who are these new teams? I don't know. Why is Boise up there? And where is Boise? And why am I saying Boise?
Why is it Boise?
Exactly. All those things are true. And so, yeah, no, I get that. It's kind of the way I feel about college baseball. When I watch college baseball, I understand that it's a really inferior product. If you got a guy on third base and a guy catches the ball in the outfield, run, make him throw it. He's probably not going to make the throw.
Put the ball in play.
Right. And so for some people, they don't enjoy the sport because of that. I enjoy college baseball because of that. I kind of like the idea that any ball that's hit, it might get through.
Yeah.
I just kind of dig that. But
there's going to be like your fourth reliever is going to come in and he's never going to throw a strike. Like he's not even going to
ball 20.
The ball completely changes.
Nebraska had a ball 20. Yeah. So, but that's all my Festivus stuff.
That's it.
All my
that was only against me.
It was, huh?
I thought there was going to be more.
Why the Darian Mensah thing? I did want to explain to you guys that Caddyshack was much like the way life used to be when we were playing golf in the 80s and late
James
70s.
Franklin.
The James Franklin thing. That's for you. James Franklin's for you because you said that you were talking about that. And I've been a fan of Penn State since 1977. Chuck Fusino was my first quarterback that I really liked. Living on the campus at Penn State, my dad was a cook there, and huge Calvin Bryant was the running back, and I loved that team. And I still, in a way, really feel for that team. I'm no longer a fan because of what happened with Coach Paterno and Sandusky and all that. I can't make myself into a fan anymore. I wrote a whole long Substack whatever thing about it years ago about how I just had to. I could no longer be a fan of the team because of what happened. But I still hope that one day they will again get back to where they were when I was a kid growing up. I still will yell at
not
people.
with Matt Campbell.
Maybe it'd be Matt Campbell, whoever it is with. I'll be fine. I just knew it wasn't going to happen more with James Franklin.
Yeah,
definitely not.
Now it's going to happen for Virginia Tech.
You think so? You really believe in it?
Yeah, no, I do.
I know they did well in the portal.
Part of it is he's going to recruit really well in the ACC. He has less that he has to jump over.
Yeah.
Whether they can be where Miami's at, I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Who's not coming through that door? Michael Vick. He's not coming through that door.
No, they're not.
And that's the chance.
What
they
about
need
Marcus
like
Vick?
that.
Marcus Vick.
Marcus Vick is in jail, so he's definitely not coming.
Tyrod Taylor.
He made really one good play against Nebraska, sure.
Well, that was just one bad play by Matt O'Hanlon.
Well, it was the throw in the end zone. That was a really good play.
That was a really good play.
It wasn't the throw to the wide open Danny
Cole.
What did they win? 9 games that year?
I think they won 8.
8 games?
Yeah, and it started with a loss to either ECU or I think it was ECU.
Yeah, I mean, they played for a national championship, right? Under Frank Beamer and his lunch pail.
Oh,
because of
3? Oh, 2?
No, farther back. 99.
99, yeah.
That year was
Nebraska
crazy.
didn't
Nebraska
play
should have played.
Yep.
Yeah, they played
Florida State?
Tennessee.
Oh,
yeah.
Tennessee.
No. Nebraska played Tennessee in the Fiesta Bowl. The national championship game was Virginia Tech and Florida State.
Oh.
And 3 different guys for Florida State tore ACLs in that game chasing around Michael Vick. 3.
Michael Vick was awesome.
He was awesome. And that's what it would take for
Right.
a place like Blacksburg, I think, to get to the point where they're contending for a national championship again. And maybe he'll get that player. And maybe he won't. Maybe he won't make them worse. I don't know.
He's not going to make them worse.
You don't agree that he went out?
You mean the player?
The
worse.
player.
I thought you meant the team.
No,
the team is
player.
undoubtedly going to be good.
No. I think they'll be good. They'll be what they are under James Franklin.
Their quarterback play was
They're going to win
terrible.
between 7 and 9 games. But there's going to be 2 games on the schedule they can't win because they're going to play against a team that recruits better than them. And there's going to be another game they play where you're going to go, what the hell was he doing?
There's maybe one team in the ACC that will recruit better than them, and it's Miami.
Really? You think so?
Yeah. I don't know who else.
You don't think Florida State can recruit better than them?
Current version.
I mean,
of
I know
Florida State
they
is
need to get a
mess.
new.
Clemson?
I also think he was at the apex at Penn State recruiting as well as Ohio State. They weren't maximizing those players.
Yeah. Well, they weren't like that. They weren't top 5, were they?
They were. His last class was top 5,
Was.
and then the class he had assembled for this upcoming year was number 1 when they let him go.
Yeah.
But this is their version of the 2007 thing.
The Bill Callahan.
Yeah. And there was a part of why people wanted to hire James Franklin last
Who's
year.
Jonah Gray?
Was that the idea was a lot of those kids were more attached to James Franklin than they were to Penn State.
Sure.
So, Florida State was kicking the tires on hiring him and having him replace Norvell and just trying to bring that whole operation down there. So he ended up at Virginia Tech, which dumbfounded me as it happened.
They'll breeze through the first half of this schedule.
They'll lose. Hold on.
They play Maryland, and I want to watch that game.
They may
It
breeze
is in
through.
September.
He does have that incredible record where games that Nebraska that they're favored by more than 6.5. He's got an incredible record of winning those games.
Yep.
On the other hand, if they're an underdog, he's got a record of losing those games. But
because they're conservative, they're not volatile.
Yeah, until last year, because then last year they set some sort of record of losing back-to-back games where they were more than 20-point.
Except for when they get into these situations at the end of games where everyone freaks out and nobody knows what to do. And James Franklin's answer is, let's put in a tight end at quarterback. What a great idea. We're going to play.
Tyler Warren was really good.
We're going to put in 9 different people at quarterback and have anyone but my quarterback throw passes.
That was okay. It wasn't the problem against Ohio State. Wasn't the fact that Tyler Warren was playing at all or Drew Aller is that they called every single play to Tyler Warren on those 4 plays.
Yes.
Where they didn't allow. And by the way, I know people
And they were
don't like
doing
Drew
too much
Aller.
nonsense.
He was decently mobile. There were twice where all they had to do was have him pull the ball.
I know.
And he probably runs in the end zone and maybe they win the game. But instead, every single play's got to go to Tyler Warren.
They're doing too much.
And I doubt the offensive coordinator was doing that. It was probably James Franklin saying, throw the ball at top 44. Throw the ball at 44. That's what I think was happening. I wasn't on the headset.
I bet you're right.
I don't. I'm a little bitter about things he does sometimes. Yeah. But, you guys have a awesome Friday.
Oh, thank you.
Have a lot of fun. And you got big weekend plans?
Yep.
It's your final weekend of freedom.
Unfortunately, it's not.
That's not true. You've been married for a long time.
It's been claimed. I'm going to Kansas City.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, good luck with that.
Thank
have
you.
fun with that. Do you have any fun plans?
I'm going to go to the Bennington Farmers Market, and they have Bennington Days this weekend, so something related to that, I'm sure.
You said you were 38?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm very much in the farmers market.
You were right in the. You need
I
to get
enjoy
some,
those.
You got to
Bennington
get. You
Days.
got to get some sandals and some socks. And,
I have
and
that.
Where are your cargo pants?
I don't do cargo shorts.
Cargo shorts, and just go walk around the farmers market.
Bennington
No, I'll
Days
mostly look
1
like
week
this and
after Elkhorn Days.
Yeah, and I was at Elkhorn Days last week.
Wow.
Days tour.
Wow.
Part of it is
I didn't know this about you.
I have a very young child.
Yeah, he's got a
we can
small
go to
child.
pancake feed. He
Yeah.
loves pancakes. He gets
Okay.
to eat that. You go to a farmer's market. There's a playground right next
Yep.
to it, so that makes it pretty easy.
All
Okay.
You're just
relatively low
constantly.
cost.
Your
Yeah.
kids are older now. You forget about.
I
This.
remember
You're
when they were
constantly
little.
looking for
Yeah.
things to do that get you out of the house, so
Yeah.
you just don't sit there.
No, I'm with you. We did a lot of crazy. Like hell, we just went to Oakview Mall a lot because
Yeah.
they had that giant play area
Mhm.
in Oakview Mall where all the germs
Yeah,
were.
that's the whole mall now.
Yeah, that whole germs. We'd go there
They
and we
got
would
rid of
just
the shops. It's all just play area.
It is.
We
There's
would
only
go there
like
and
2
play.
stores in there.
Yeah.
Is the video store still there?
No.
That video store that had the videotapes and all the crazy
You're
games. and
telling me
stuff?
No
Foot
way.
Locker is
That
gone
place
now?
is gone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's
There's
nothing.
nothing.
in
I haven't
there.
been in Oakview in a long time.
It's a food court and
Yeah.
a couple play areas.
Okay.
I'll bet there's
And a Build-A-Bear.
I'll bet there's a GameStop. Yeah.
Yes, there is a GameStop. I took my son
GameStop,
to
a
drop them off
Build-A-Bear, a
there.
Foot Locker, and a Journeys. That's
Mhm.
what you're getting.
All right, well, that's a hell of a mall. You have a great time in Kansas City.
Thank you, Michael.
You have a great time at Bennington Days.
Have a great show.
Thank you very much. Crossover powered by Everlevel Concrete Repair in Omaha. EverlevelConcrete.com. The Matt McMaster Show with Josh, with Michael filling in next.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're gonna hurt some people. Whose car are we gonna take?
I have a lot of things I want to get off my chest.
That's an absolutely horse crap call. Make room for Daddy. But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
Chicago is.
This is Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
All right, welcome to Middays with Matt. Michael Severe sitting in for Matt McMaster. Josh Oxen, of course, on the wheels of steel. I was hoping in the open that at some point, right before they say the Chicago is thing, that you would have played a New Orleans drop.
A better producer would have done that. Yes, yes.
I was like, is it going to happen? No, it didn't happen. That's fine. That's fine. Chicago is whatever he said it was. So that is fine. I'm sitting in for Matt McMaster. Matt is moving. So it's a good news, not a bad news fill-in. Occasionally when I fill in for people, it's not a good thing.
Right. But
this is good news.
And you don't normally ask.
I don't ask. I was told by Connor.
Okay.
Because Connor said, what are you doing here? And I said, I'm sitting in for Matt. And he said, why? And I went, I don't ask. And he goes, oh, yeah, he's moving. So he's leaving that where my kids go to audiology over there in the lead, which is used to be St. Joe's Hospital, then Creighton Hospital. They built like an apartment complex thing over there. That's where he was living, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's leaving that. Is he moving to being with a roommate? Is he moving by himself?
Him and the roommate are moving to a different apartment in the same complex, I believe.
What?
It's an upgrade.
It's a bigger one.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's interesting. I kind of expected that I thought if he was taking an entire day off to move, I figured he was moving and his address changed.
Not as greatly as you would think,
No, just the end of his address changed. Those last 3 numbers or 4 numbers that are the apartment number. Okay. All right. I mean, that's fine. That's fine. Kids today, if it was me and I was his age, I probably would have worked my midday shift, got up in the morning, moved some, worked the midday shift, and then would have moved in the afternoon, evening. That's, what I would have done. I'm Gen X.
Yeah.
So, I didn't realize that you could just take days off when I was growing up. I thought you had to work every day. Sometimes 3 times a day.
America was better when people had that mentality.
America was better when we had, just stop there. No. Coming up on the show today, one of my favorite guests, Brian Christopherson, BC, 24/7 Sports. I just texted with BC yesterday. Was that yesterday? I think it was yesterday, because I had done a podcast where we talked about great special teamers for Nebraska, kind of a Mount Rushmore of special teamers. That'll be coming out on the Common Fan podcast sometime soon. I don't know when. And one of BC's favorite players when he was growing up as a kid was one of the guys that made our list. And so I sent him a text saying, hey, your boy got mentioned. And he got very excited. So I'm happy to chat with BC. Also, I'm going to explain to you why, as a sports fan, you have to have selective amnesia. This is important. Along with having a hat of your team and some gear of your team and having made a road trip in bad weather to see your team, all the requirements of being a good fan, you also have to have selective amnesia. It's very, very important.
Interesting.
If you're going to be a good fan. We also will have odd news with Odd Son. That comes up. I love how you write the whole thing out here. That's kind of cool. Odd news with Odd Son. Get it? There's an article that I'd found, I think it was last week. This is a geek article for people like me. And I think Matt would appreciate it too. So the idea behind this is they went and looked at the players who were drafted in the NFL rounds 1 through 3 at each position, and then found the commonalities between them, whether it be height or weight or 40 time or hand size or all of that, and then kind of compared it to what you are coming out as a recruit. So what do you need to be looking for as a college football team for your guys then to have successful college careers and be drafted in the top 3 rounds of the NFL draft? And so we're going to kind of look at where Nebraska is in comparison to some of those numbers. that came from this particular story. You guys haven't done this. Do you remember doing this by any chance?
No,
this is
not
something
this
that Matt would have done.
specifically.
Okay. We're also going to do best show series finales because I watched this past Sunday Euphoria. I actually watched it on Mondays, and it was as good and complete of a series finale. And I believe it is a series finale. They really haven't said it officially, I think, but as I've seen in TV, it was perfect.
Interesting, because people were a little iffy about it even happening.
Yeah. So it's interesting when you think about it. You have to judge by a couple different things. Like, do you need the Shawshank ending? That's what it's called now. The perfect ending where, they meet up on the beach and they hug and that everything's okay. Or do you need the ending like in Sopranos where it just goes to black and you've got question marks in here, or even The Wire? Like you have question marks, right? What's Marlo going to do going forward and all that stuff? So you always have those, or you the person that want to have everything answered. And Euphoria answered everything you needed to be answered. Like they gave you the happy ending in a way. And with that show, I'm not talking about the dirty happy ending. I'm talking about a regular happy ending because that show would have
that. Is a good clarification for that show.
For that show. It also allowed you to have a moment kind of with each one of your characters that you've known now for 6 years since the show first came out, maybe longer. So it gives you that too, which I enjoyed. So I thought it was great. And when it was over, I remember thinking, well, there was 30 minutes left in the episode. It was an extra long episode.
The longest episode HBO's ever done.
Yeah. And it's like 30 minutes left because I checked. I was like, this is still going on. And I think it was at the 50-minute mark. And I went, ooh, they got a long way to go. And they wrapped it up. They did a great job and they wrapped it up. And I loved it. So we're going to talk about, I don't have as many comedy. I'm going to lean on you for the comedies because most of the ones that I have are dramas or action, not really comedies. I only got a couple comedies on there. But we're going to go over some of the best series finales that have ever happened. I have my irrational angry list that I keep all the time.
Yes.
I have that list. One of which I used on the morning show a couple days ago. I sent it to Schaefer and he read it, but still we can bring that back. Austin Jacobsen. I don't know who that guy is, where he works or what he's doing, but I'm told he's on at 1:00. So that's all right. And then scheduled tidbits for the Nebraska schedule, just the ones involving the Big Ten competition, right? So I went through, looked at it, found some good things on there, and then what to watch as always, which is a staple to get you to the weekend and what's going to happen on Friday night, which I am always excited about. Friday used to be way back when we had Miles, my oldest, at the end of 2005, which was end of December. And Miles had lots of medical problems, and Miles ended up having to get a trach, and Miles was just, had a feeding tube and all that stuff. And on Fridays, we would drop Miles off at this place called Children's World, which is now gone. It was a kind of an overnight hospice place for children. And my wife and I, it was a week where I was working 2 jobs. None of us were getting sleep. Somebody had to sleep in a room with Miles if it wasn't a night that we had a nurse. And so Friday night would come along and I would listen to Unsportsmanlike, where I was on Unsportsmanlike Conduct. And we'd figure out what was happening on the movie from Elk Camp. And then we would look at the paper and see what the new restaurant that was open that they reviewed, or older restaurant they reviewed. And then we would drop Miles off at about 6:00 over at Children's World. And then we would go out and we would be exhausted, right? But we would go out because it was our date night. We'd go out. We'd get home as soon as we could. We were asleep. Up by 7:00, pick up Miles, bring him back home. That was like my Fridays. And it was the one day in the week where we could just, relax, breathe. The nurses were taking care of Miles. We knew he was okay. And we had that for about 2.5, 3 years of doing that every single week. And Friday became a different feel. Like when you were younger, Friday end of the week, we're going out, we're going to a party, whatever else. It became this Friday where, we could actually just kind of relax for a second. And it's not that anymore, but I still think about that when I think about Friday coming along and into the week. I'm like, so what are we going to do? We don't have to do anything. We can just stay at home. We can get some tacos. We can just chill, right? Because we had that time where it was an incredible, stressful time for us. So that's what I think about with Friday. So happy Friday to all of you. Do you have plans for your glorious Friday, aka weekend, Josh?
Me? No.
Yes.
No. Probably some yard work.
Ugh. That's sad.
I'm going to try and not do it, though.
It's been raining straight on and off days-wise for like 4 days. So I'm assuming that your lawn is just overgrown.
No, I got a guy that does it. It's fine.
There you go. What kind of yard work? Like pulling weeds and stuff?
We have some hedges.
Okay.
I don't have a guy for that. That costs more. So I'm the guy that does that.
Okay. All right. Matt says right now that the grass is too wet.
Yeah.
But by the time we get around, I mean, till you get off work, because what time you get out of here? About 3:30, 4 o'clock? It's like you have 9 jobs, Jamaican Josh.
I would like to get out of here at 3:30, 4 o'clock. Yeah.
Okay. So you get out here that time. I would assume at that point that it'd be dry enough. Or is it going to rain again today?
Might tonight.
Oh, okay. Well, if it's going to rain again today, then never mind. Then you can avoid it. Don't clog the mower, Matt says.
Yeah, you get that wet, clumpy grass in there. Yeah.
I have not mowed the grass.
That's right.
I have teenage boys. Well, I have one now. I have a 20-year-old too. And they have been mowing it for about a decade. Going out there, mowing the front yard one day, and then mowing the backyard after we pick up all the poop. We do the poop scoop thing, and then they mow the backyard. But I have not mowed it. I have gone out there to help them restart the mower.
Okay.
Or restart the weed whacker. We have a gas weed whacker, and it's a little finicky. I've done that before, but have not gone out there and actually pushed a mower in probably more than 10 years. And that might be the thing I'm most proud of in the world.
I love that for you.
Yeah, it's a great thing for me. I'm very excited about it when I don't have to do it, and I'm glad that the kids are doing it, and I'm glad that they enjoy it. They get like $5, not a lot, to do it.
It's enough for them.
Yeah, and you get a little money for gas or whatever to be able to go around. Not gas for the mower, because that'd be funny if we made them actually have gas for the mower.
Yeah, I mean, you got to put gas in it too.
That is true. I buy the gas and they put it in, but that would be kind of fun. This is gas for their car. We are currently in a situation that I believe other people in the city of Omaha are dealing with. Did you know about the street milling and resurfacing project that is happening in the city of Omaha?
No.
You not heard about this?
No.
So
is that why every street in Omaha is closed?
Yes. Most of the neighborhoods, at least now in the eastern part of the city, east of 72nd Street, are having these milling projects happening where they come into a block. And if you park on the street, which happens a lot, obviously, in that part, because our driveways aren't very big, our garages don't fit the modern day car. We have old homes. And so you can't park on your street. The problem is that multiple streets in your neighborhood are being done. So you don't know where to park your car. So it's okay to park. So we're lucky our neighbors are letting us put the boys' cars in their driveway.
Oh, wow.
Because they have an extra wide driveway. So they're letting them put it there. But currently, they're going through these neighborhoods and they're doing all of this milling and they haven't gotten to resurfacing yet. So because of that, we're just up in the air with what we can do. There's times we won't be able to leave our house because the street will be closed. They're telling us this because when they're milling, the whole street has to be closed.
Whoa.
And we can't go through it because you can't get by this giant machine that goes in the middle of the street.
You got to go to work. What do you?
You leave before it.
Okay.
Yeah, they start working at 7 a.m.
Whoa.
And so if you're going to be leaving and they're going to be working on your street, you need to get out of there. Or you can find a street that's not being milled that day near your house and go park your car over there and then walk over to that car when you have to leave. That's where we are right now.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not a great thing. It's not, I wouldn't call it optimal.
I mean, I guess it has to be done.
I assume it has to be done. Yes, it has to be done. And I'm glad that they're putting our tax dollars to work. But the last 2 weeks in our neighborhood has been crazy because they've been telling us they're going to do our street for over a week. And so we've been moving our car different places so we're not on the street, but they haven't been doing it because of the rain. They've been getting backed up. So it is a weird situation that we're stuck in right now with the milling of our streets and what is happening in our neighborhood. When we come back, we are going to tell you why amnesia is something you need to have as a fan. And I say that especially for Nebraska football fans. You have to have some selective amnesia if you're going to have fun being a fan. We'll tell you why. We come back here on Middays with Matt, Michael Severe filling in with Josh here on 1620 The Zone.
Now, back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
All right, welcome back. I'm Michael Sawyer, sitting in for Matt McMaster, who is out today. Of course, Josh is there. He is. A little picture if you're watching it on YouTube. Welcome to the YouTube stream, folks, as well. J99 Wazoo says, I remember drop Josh P off a copy of my Midsummer Director's Cut. Every other street, it seemed, around 1620 was detoured. Yes, that was this neighborhood. Now they're over in our neighborhood, which is Morton Meadows, on the other side of Dodge. I believe they've already kind of finished this side a little bit. Don't you think?
Here?
Yeah. Right, because I remember there was a detour. Yeah, but now that's done, so they're moving around. Yeah, it's been rough for us. They don't treat us great because we're East Omahans or Midtowners, and they look down on us. So
sad.
That's just the way. It's very sad. It's very sad. So I want to mention, I am not. I'm going to say this to start off. I am not trying to say that you can't be negative towards your team. I'm not. It's your privilege. You put in the years, you put in the time, you've made the investments, you spent the money. Do what you want. I'm just going to tell you why I think you could have a little bit more enjoyment if you just had a little more amnesia and not remembered every bad thing that ever happened.
I love this premise.
Because if you remember every bad thing that's happened, it makes it really hard to get excited about a good thing that might be happening. I'm going to take you back to my junior year of high school. My civics teacher was also our basketball coach, Jim Tillett, great coach. And Jim had this line that I listen to and I believe in, and I live this. He would say all the time, it was like his 6 Ps. It was proper preparation prevents piss poor performance. Said it all the time, right? If you prep and you prepare, you're going to perform well. That was his thing. That's what he believed in. But at the same time, he would always say, look, you got to remember what happened in the past or you'll be doomed to repeat it. So I get it. There's two sides. There's a positive and it's not even negative. It's more of a not optimistic way to handle this. And this offseason has been as not optimistic for Nebraska football as I've ever been a part of. I've been here since 2002. I've been on the radio covering the team in some sort of or other since 2004. And I've seen a lot of coaches come and go, obviously. I've seen a lot of players come and go. I don't ever remember the fan base being like it is right now. So we're gonna understand that you have to remember the past and honor it, because without it, you don't have the history of Nebraska football. You don't have all these memories. I get that. But you also give yourself a chance to take away how bad it's been for the last 10 years or so. Since Bo left, and you probably were critical of Bo at the time, but since Bo left, we know where the team has been. I get that. So I understand it. And I know every time I give you a positive, you could then say to yourself, yeah, but this happened. That's where I'm saying the amnesia comes in. This is where you come in and you say, hey, I'm not going to think back on that bad thing. Like if I say to you, right, Nebraska's schedule, the first 5 games are winnable. Instead of going, yeah, they are, fans now are like, yeah, remember what happened against Minnesota last year? Same thing could happen. Remember that? Remember what happened against Illinois? Remember what happened in Ireland? Remember something like that? Always going to do that. So I get that. I understand you have that. But let's just put all that aside. Let's just look at this year going in. We're going to forget everything. You just got hit over the head by a giant bat. It didn't kill you, but you lost your memory for the last 10 years. We're just going with right now. So I start off with a number of things that could make this year very successful without you saying to yourself, yeah, but. So Anthony Calandria, it starts with that. We talk a lot about, and I've talked a lot about, he's been prone to turnovers. Talked a lot about what he's done interception-wise. He went 9-11-9. It's not great. We've talked about his fumbles. Not a ton lost, more than you'd like, but the fact that he's been fumbling the ball, using it in drives, it It harms your team. It can lead to losses just fumbling the ball in games. So I get that. But let's not talk about that. Let's talk about the fact that this guy had over 4,000 yards of total offense. Let's talk about that he was the offensive player of the year in the Mountain West. Let's talk about Nebraska in the red zone having success because they have a guy who is mobile, because they have a guy who will extend plays, because they have a guy that you can run simple quarterback power with, right? You're lined up. You got 2 tight ends. You got 2 backs, or you got 3 tight ends and 1 wide receiver. However you want to do it, right? You're lining up. You're pulling guys. Anthony Calandri is following them on quarterback power and running into the end zone. You're running naked bootlegs. Imagine what it would be like to line up with the back in the backfield, and instead of actually handing it off to him, you have the ball in your hip, and there's nobody out there blocking for you. There's no waggle. There's no puller. It's just you, naked, touchdown. You got clothes on. Naked is the play call. You're going in the end zone. Remember that. Think about that. That's what you have to consider. Red zone efficiency goes up when you have mobile quarterbacks. Now, you can have guys that turn it over. I know what you're saying now. You're going, but what about Jeff Sims? And I'm like, amnesia, remember? We're having amnesia. We're not remembering. We're not thinking about that. We're thinking about right now. An experienced offensive line is number 2 for me. And I know what you're saying. I know you're feeling about the offensive line. I know what's happened. Amnesia, just think about what they have right now. 4 experienced guys. A 5th who has played a lot of football at the Power 4 level. So you could say 5 Power 4 guys, 4 of which having enough experience, you can say they're veterans on the offensive line, another who's coming along. 109 Power 4 starts. 109 Power 4 starts. I went through and I looked at all of the teams Nebraska's playing, the 9 Big Ten teams, to see what they had in terms of starts for their offensive linemen based off of who they're projecting to be starters. Josh, would you like to take a guess what team in the Big Ten has the fewest starts for the projected starting 5 offensive line this year?
This year?
This year.
Indiana.
Okay, it's going to be a shock to you because if I say offensive line to you, you automatically think
Wisconsin.
Iowa.
Okay, yeah, that would have been a better answer.
Iowa, the Joe Moore Award winner, Iowa. Mm-hmm. Kurt Ferentz, former offensive line coach. They only have 28 starts. Nebraska has 109. They have 90 games total these guys have played in where they were on special teams or whatever else. Nebraska's got 190. Iowa has 1,600 snaps returning. Nebraska has like 9,000. That's not right. I got to look up the number again, but it's a lot more than that one. So you're looking at 109 starts. They're all Power 4 ones. When you go look at other teams like Michigan State, they have a bunch of games. They have 147 starts. Some of these guys came up from lower levels. Most of them are transfers, a lot like Nebraska, but not all are Power 4 starts. But that's pretty impressive, 147 starts. So you look at that and go pretty good. You mentioned Indiana earlier. They're right up there with 119 starts. They also have guys who come from a lower level, not Power 4. Rutgers is 118 starts. Again, a lot of guys who came up from lower level, along with some guys who are back. Interesting ones. Oregon, who many people think is the favorite to win the national championship. Only 51 total starts. Oregon has 2 guys that have either never started at the Power 4 level or have 1 start. Washington, just 65 starts. So 2 of the teams you're playing are going to have, yes, quarterbacks returning, but really inexperienced on the offensive line. Illinois, just 76 starts total. Maryland, 81 starts. And I mentioned Iowa with just 28 starts. So think about Nebraska and their experienced offensive line with 5 guys who've all played Power 4, who've all went out there and started for either a full season or most of a full season. That's something to be fired up about. I don't want to hear any talks about Bryce Benhart or Turner Corcoran. That we don't remember those guys. We don't even know who the hell they are. It's like Peter Parker in the new Spider-Man. Nobody knows who he is, right? Nobody, because they did the whole spell. Very confusing. Number 3, new defensive coordinator. one of the great things about when you change your coordinators, and you don't want to change them a lot, I understand that, because you're usually building a scheme. But the good thing is you're forcing the opponents you play, especially early on, to try to figure out exactly what you're going to do as a defensive coordinator. Not only do you have a new defensive coordinator, but you also have a new defensive line coach, and you have a new edge coach. So all three of those guys together is going to force teams to have to think a little bit more when they're prepping for you. And you'd hope that when a new defensive coordinator comes in, a new set of eyes, that he does a better job of figuring out exactly what you have and how you can play them. Riley Van Poppel. We're not remembering what happened last year. Again, forget about it. We're talking about what happens this year. Riley Van Poppel with a new system, set up to play with a guy like Dave Tollefson helping him to take it to the next level. I think he's going to have a very successful year. I think I was wrong about the last year that we don't remember, but I think he'll have a very good year. There's a couple young guys. Tyson Terry, over 300 pounds. Dylan Parrott, over 300 pounds. These are guys who can clog up the middle. Stottlemyre, who they brought in as a transfer. If he can stay healthy, he's another guy. And then your edge guys, Winery, taking it to the next level. Another year, better coaching from the edge coaches, right? Everything you did to go along with your defensive coordinator has been a positive and could make a difference for this defense. Because the weakness of the defense last year, by far, was lack of pass rush and lack of penetration. The two P's that my wife always laughs about when they talk about it on the TV because she's got a dirty mind.
My wife does that too.
Does she do that too? Thank God it's not
she
just
goes,
my wife.
you don't have to say penetration
so much. Yeah. So those are two things that you have to have, and Nebraska did not have them last year. So I think that gets better. New special teams coordinator. And I know what you're saying to yourself. Hold on, man. We had this great special teams coordinator last year, Mike Eckler. We don't even know who that guy is. Amnesia, right? Yes, really good season until the end of the season. We had some struggles. But here's what you have. You have one of the best special teamers to ever play at Nebraska in Brett Maher, who did everything that you want a kicker, punter to do while he was here at Nebraska. Very talented guy, right? Knows and understands the system because he was there last year. He's got an assistant who's been a part of the system who understands it as well. Between the two of them, you hope they take everything they learned and expand it to the talent they have now on special teams. I'm putting it down as a wild card because, yes, you're changing it out, but you have guys who know what they're doing. New O-line and D-line coach. I mentioned the D-line coach. O-line coach changes your entire, put it this way. You like to cook, Josh?
Not really.
All right, I love to cook. Okay?
I love to eat.
I love to eat as well. That's why I love to cook.
Okay.
One of the things I love to make is Italian beef, right? Love to make Italian beef in different ways. Every time I make it, I don't make it the same. I'm always trying to add something different to my Italian beef, right? The one I made yesterday, I made it with a whole different. So I always make like kind of a French onion in butter kind of thing that I add on top of it, right? I changed it up. More of an Italian feel. I changed up the veggies I was using just because I want to have some variety in it, give us a little bit of a taste. What you get when you get a new offensive line coach is a ton of variety. He gets to look at everything your offensive line did last year, and he gets to work off of what they did well and just put that in. And then you look at a guy like Jeep Wade, who really, truly understands the concept. And I know he's never done it at this level, but the concept, because the ACC is not the Big Ten, the concept of what you have to run to be able to be successful in the run game, to then be successful in the play action game, to then be successful in the deep ball game. They all work together. See, I say deep ball, my wife would giggle. So anyway, you take all three of those, and I think he can develop that. I love listening to the guy talk. Anytime you have that kind of accent, I'm all for it for an offensive line coach. The dude's name, Gideon Pilla. It's a great name. Everything about him is cool. But I also believe that he's gonna put some variety into your meal that is offensive line and run game play. So I got him there. And then potential 6 to 7 new starters on defense. This is the variety that I was talking about. So you bring in a guy like Owen Chambliss, who is not the prototypical look necessarily because he's a lot longer than the modern day inside linebackers that you'd see. But he reminds me a lot of those old Tampa 2 linebackers that would, be the carry guys, right? Those were the guys who would run down the middle of the field, what Brian Urlacher did for the Bears when he was younger, that kind of thing. He was that guy. He ran the rail. You watch him out there, you look at his tape, you watch him in practice, when we got a chance to go see practice, long, skinny, run, can move, looks great. Nice to have him there. I mentioned the new defensive lineman. I did mention Anthony Jones. Anthony Jones, who's played for almost every team in the Big Ten, but is the body style you want for an edge guy in this system. New starters on defense. And then lastly, go through and kind of look at the profile for a lot of the Big Ten team, not just Big Ten, matter of fact, Big Ten, SEC, go through both of them and look at the profile for their running back positions. And look how many times you will find a freshman who has a bunch of explosive plays, that dynamic freshman. Oregon has had it. USC has had it. Hell, they had a couple of them. That dynamic freshman running back who can make some explosive plays. What Nebraska lacked last year, they were 10th in the Big Ten in 10+. They were 8 in 20+ plays. They lacked that explosion to be one of the better teams in the Big Ten. Having Jamal Rule with the opportunity to maybe be the third back coming in the game, your first back, Mekhi Nelson, he gets his runs in. Your defense is getting tired. You bring in Mosey, who's like almost 6'1", about 220 now. He's pounding on them. Wife's giggling again, pounding on them. And then bam, here comes Jamal Rule. And he goes for a long one because of the fact that he's explosive and he's coming behind the other guys and you worn a defense down. These are all things that you should be happy about and excited about going into the season. But that only happens if you don't think about what's happened leading up to this, right? Don't think about what's happened in the past that makes you think to yourself, oh, this can't happen this year. Don't do that. Just think about this year and all the reasons why Nebraska could exceed what people are projecting them to be. Am I saying they're going to win 9 games? Probably not. Am I saying they're going to win 8 games? Probably not. But there is a lot of things that you can be excited about and not negative about in this year, because these are all things that if you were cheering for another team that you didn't have a pass with, if Indiana 2 years ago, you were sitting there and you looked at all those things, dynamic transfer quarterback, Rourke, a bunch of experience coming on defensive line, on offensive line, even though it was coming from a lower level, you'd be excited about all that. But this is Nebraska and you have that pass that you can't get away from. Should we take a break and take the phone call or take it first?
Take it first.
Take it first. Okay, let's go back to the phones. That is the, what is it? Oh, that's Twitter feed. We have a phone thing? Oh, there it is. Prairie Flower Casino Zone Hotline. We go to the phones. That's where John is. Good morning, John.
Hey, good morning, Michael. Great stuff. Just kind of picked it up about 10 minutes ago here as I'm driving, and just kind of love all the points you're making. It's a kind of a refreshing way to look at it all. So make a lot of good sense there. And seems like a classic kind of, buy low spot, when you're looking at it from a gambling perspective. And I will say, like, maybe the only thing that I would agree to disagree on is the special teams thing.
Yeah.
Just because I don't think you can replicate Eckler's energy. And, but if it wasn't a fit for Rule in the end and there wasn't a long-term, outcome with that, then it is what it is. I think the only thing that I'd love to hear you talk about, which is kind of the thing that I think that most fans, and I've been a fan, since I was a kid, the 90s, seen it all and feel those feelings that you're talking about, is, what has Rule shown you in the off season to make himself a better coach? And what do you feel like his confidence in what he's doing, not the hires he's making, but the way he's approaching things and the way he's going to coach in games, what makes you feel like he's going to make a leap? Because I think a lot of people feel like all these things are great, but then, something gets drugged down, somebody underperforms, and all of a sudden you're 7-5 and not, 9-3 or 10-2. So just kind of curious your thoughts on Rule. And I know it gets like beating a dead horse, but, I'd just like to hear just kind of maybe your general take on how that fits into the piece.
Sounds good. Thank you, John. All right, so let me get with the real quick about the special teams. I had a chance to interview Jeff Jamrog yesterday, who's a longtime Midlands University coach, but he coached special teams and helped with special teams under Bo Pelini in that infamous 2014 year. We're not going to have selective memory about that. We're going to remember that one. 2014, Nebraska went from being one of the bottom 20 teams in special teams to being number one. And because they brought in an expert from the outside that said, here's how you drill this stuff. It's not about scheme. It's not about it's about drilling down on each one of these things. It's finding the right person to be the up back. It's finding the right people to be the gunner. It's finding the right people to block here. And they learned that last year with Mike Eckler. Let's call Mike Eckler the guy who came in and he made you change all your hair, right? He made you come in and change your mustache. He did all the little things for you. Now going forward, you don't need him necessarily anymore because you have it all in your cachet. Am I completely right about that? I don't know, but I can tell you that Jeff Jamrock said when that guy came in and was kind of like a consultant for special teams, taught him so much stuff that 1 year in the offseason, that 2014 was an incredible year, special teams wise for Nebraska. I think everything that they learned last year from Mike Eckler and being able to take, and I know he brought a lot of energy, but taking along all of those drills, which is the big part, and keeping with them, they'll still be good. Are we hoping with that one? Yes, we're hoping more than the other ones. In terms of Matt Rule, I'm going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk to Brian Christopherson. I'll ask Brian about this, but let me tell you this about something that I've learned in this offseason. They've done a lot more of going to see other teams and what they do to get better. It's not being talked about a lot, but I know multiple coaches that have gone on visits and sat down with teams that have been successful doing things to try to help Nebraska. And I think that's the key of making everything else better, where you have Rule, who, of course, is the CEO of the whole thing. And yes, he's got to make better decisions on fourth down. He's got to make better decisions in red zone if they're going to go for a field goal. But in terms of your individual coaches, you have a lot of guys that have done a lot of things to get better. And I think that's going to make a difference. But we come back, we'll talk to Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7, Middays at Matt here on 1620 The Zone.
Now back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Welcome back to Middays with Matt. Michael Severus filling in for Matt McMaster. I was just saying to someone, it was my wife. Anytime I'm talking to someone, it's probably my wife because I have no friends. And I was saying, you know who one of my favorite people in the media in Nebraska is? And she's like, who? And I said, oh, Brian Christopherson, BC. Oh, that guy. I just texted him the other day. Maybe that was yesterday. I don't know. I forget. What is up, BC? How you doing, sir?
Yeah, it was yesterday morning. It meant a lot to me. We were talking about Baron Miles.
Yes.
And Tyrone Hughes and various Huskers of my childhood that I enjoyed.
Every time I hear Baron Miles' name, I think about you because you tell the story about him against Oklahoma State taking the ball off of that guy, the punter's foot. But I don't know if I ever told you this. We were at the College World Series, man, whatever year. This was a Florida State year. It was either in the late 09s or beginning of the 010s, somewhere in there. And Florida State was there. Florida State's color commentator for baseball played on the offensive line for Florida State back in the 90s. And it's me and Damon interviewing him. And we're just talking about the old days. And he goes, you know who was a great player for Nebraska? And I was like, who's that? He goes, Baron Miles. Do you know what Baron Miles did against our 6'3" and 6'4" wide receivers at Florida State? He shut them down. And I'm like, wow, just threw Baron Miles' name out of there from nowhere because this guy had watched him play in the 90s. So, yeah, Baron is a great guy for you to be a big fan of, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously the block punt, that makes a kid's imagination dance when you're like 12 years old like I was, because he just stole it basically off his foot, like you say. But also in that Orange Bowl the year after Florida State when they played Miami, he covered Chris T. Jones. You will remember him. And I mean, he was a big receiver. And Costa kept throwing long balls trying to get one on Barron, and they couldn't do it. Baron Miles and Tyrone Williams was a great cornerback duo.
Yeah.
I always remember the play specifically, Michael, when I knew the mid-90s Nebraska team had arrived and it was a different story. They were going toe-to-toe with Florida State in that game that they ultimately lost 18-16.
Yeah.
And Charlie Ward tried this little pass to the sideline, and Tyrone Williams timed it perfectly. It was like early in the third quarter, batted away and got up and kind of waved his finger. And I was like, this ain't Nebraska, Florida State from 2 years ago. This is a different Husker team. And that was sort of obviously the beginning of the run.
You know, I interviewed Frank Costa for the 20th anniversary of that game when I was back at the newspaper. I think it was 20, it was 30. I don't know. It's a long time ago. And I was talking to him about, that whole game. And he said they lost the game on the opening kickoff when Schlesinger destroyed the guy on kickoff team who happened to be their best deep threat. Those passes they threw to Chris T. Jones, those deep balls, were supposed to go to this guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what he said. He goes, and I hadn't thrown those to Chris T. Jones. I had thrown them to this other guy, and we just could never get our timing down because we had never really practiced throwing it. And he lost this player on the first play of the game because Schlesinger absolutely killed him on the first play of the game on the kickoff.
I did not know that. They beat the tar out of Frank Costa in the fourth quarter, though.
Yeah. Frank he got destroyed in that game. He still thinks about it today. He's best friends with one of my best friends. They grew up across from each other in Philly. And so, met him a couple times.
Ballers.
Some ball. We went to go. The only time I've ever seen Frankie sadder was the next year they lost to, was it Alabama? They lost in the Sugar Bowl. Alabama, right? They lost to Alabama.
Oh,
that was the year that, remember the interception happens and he takes the ball away. The guy in the second year takes the ball. The wide receiver takes away.
Teague?
Yes, Teague, exactly. So Frankie got killed in that game too, and we went to go see him down at the hotel in New Orleans, and he was just like, "Oh, we just got killed." And so he had some miserable. He had a lot of talent around him, but he had some miserable games. Absolutely miserable games.
The Alabama-Miami game took a little of the swag out of the Canes that they had going for like the 10 years previous. There's no doubt about it, because they went into that game chest puffed out like usual, and they got smoked. And they were still good. They had the talent all over the freaking place, but they had a little of the shine off their shoes after that Alabama game.
Brian Christopherson joining us, Husker 24/7. So BC, you look at where we are, and I was trying to tell everybody that if you just look at what this offseason is for Nebraska football and figure out a way to have amnesia about everything that came before it, I think you could get pretty excited about it. Let's just not think about all the reasons why it could go wrong. But if you thought about things that could go right, everything from Calandria and the offense he's had and what they could do in the red zone and all of the starts they have, Power 4 level starts on the offensive line and everything else minus losing your special teams coordinator. If you could forget the stuff that happened in the past, what would you grade so far this offseason?
I mean, it is a little hard to say because they've kind of done it behind the curtain a little bit, but I actually that's why I'd give it a higher grade. I kind of like that that's been the way it's been, the approach, and so I guess like a B+ or something, because I'm really excited to see like what the offense looks like with Calandria.
Yeah.
Like, that's not me making a bold prediction that they're going to tear everybody up or anything like that, but you can look at college football and see how much of a difference it can make to teams when you have a guy at that position who has a little bit more mobility, who can extend stuff that doesn't go just like it's drawn up on the grease board. And he's got those traits. Now, he's got stuff to prove. We all know that. And that's the part, where a negative Nelly could come in, and that's fine. Like, he had a good number of picks at Virginia. And he got, I think, being coached by Dan Mullen was a really good deal. Obviously, it's a little bit lower level of competition, but Mullen's a really good offensive coach, and I'm sure that helped him grow his game as a quarterback. So it's kind of the perfect runway into trying to make this return to the power conference level. So I'm really interested what they can do with like some extended plays. It does seem like, from everything we've heard, the skill position guys have really bought into that too. They've just got to be way more explosive, like downfield. Like, if you look at how many times Raiola actually threw the ball 20 yards or further.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the PFF numbers aren't always exactly right, I don't think, but it wasn't a big number. And Calandria was way above that. And part of that is because he's going to extend some of those plays an extra 2 or 3 beats. It's going to give guys like Quasi Gilmore and Barney like a second life on the play. So I am excited about that. And also, if his mobility maybe helps them in the red zone too, like just the fact that he could run it in and he's that threat, like, I think is a nice thing. And then there's Jeep and Rob Orich, who, like, what are they going to do with their guys? Questions to answer, of course, but I mean, it's hard not to be optimistic about Jeep Wade right now and Lonnie Teasley over there.
Yeah, you look at, and I used to chart it when I did Severe Reaction on Sunday. I would always pull it back off of the Statcaster, how many passes he completed from, the 1 to 15 and the 16 plus. And there was a stretch where he was like 1 of 12 on throws that were over 20 yards. Obviously, you can't do that. If you look overall for the season last year, and obviously it ended early, he had 6 passes completed over 40 plus yards, but 4 of those were short passes, either screens or something that went long. I think only 2 of them were actually balls that were thrown over 20 yards. And you just can't, you cannot expect your offensive line to operate when everybody knows you're not going to throw the ball deep.
No. And I mean, there's a lot of use, of course, in what Isaiah Hunter did with those short passes, and that's got to be part of it. But you're absolutely right. You got to have those things play off each other, where you have that, but also you can take the top off of defense sometimes, or, early in the season, hopefully there's a couple plays against some of these non-con teams where he gets outside of the pocket, extends it, and goes deep. And, you put that on film for a defense to think about. Like, I think all that stuff matters. And that just wasn't enough of a threat last year. And I do think they have wide receivers who are capable of being explosive like that downfield. So they should be, I think, juiced up to try to show it too, because it had to be pretty discouraging. And I give those guys credit for hanging in there. Like Isaiah and Ja'Cory Barney, they retained them on this team after, if you think about like the last month of the season, it wasn't exactly what you sign up for as a wide receiver, at this level. So they've got to have a little bounce in their step too.
What is your worry level about special teams coming off of last year and losing Mike Eckler?
I'm not as I will say this, like this year, a year ago at this time, I was like, and I said this a lot on the radio, like I had never been so sure of a hire that he was going to do at least pretty good than Mike Eckler because of what he had done at Tennessee. And so there is something to be said for that, like peace of mind that you just knew they were going to kind of round it in a form and it was going to be solid at least. There were things they did that drove me nuts still. Like I know they were like, always looking for that big play and they thought they could break one like in the bowl game and all that stuff. But like wave the hand and take it at the 25 sometimes. I just like get so it was driving me bonkers.
Yep.
And I think, that wasn't Jacory's fault. I think they were told to do that. They thought they could get one. But Brett Maher, I don't know him that well, but I covered him when he was a kicker at Nebraska, and he's a sharp dude. And they've got Nick Humphrey, who I think is a young go-getter coach that's eager to prove himself, and he kind of has the book on some of the stuff that Eckler was doing. And so I think there's a feeling over there that enough guys in that program are sort of they're not just going away from what they did last year. They're just trying to build, and maybe there's some variances they have, but they were in it enough last year that they feel like they can carry that over and be pretty successful. But again, they're going to have to prove that because early in the season that unit was good and they were difference makers. That game, like at Maryland, the big returns. That's part of the reason they got out of there with a win.
Yep. Brian Christopherson joining us, Husker 24/7. If I was I'm gonna ask you, just take a guess. Where do you think Jacory Barney ranked in terms of long all-purpose plays among Big Ten players? Where do you think he ranked long all-purpose plays in his 13 games he played?
No idea, but I wouldn't think that high because he had 5 weeks where there's like a stretch where he had like 80 yards total or something. You know what I mean? But what is it?
He was tied for 4th. So Jeremiah Smith,
way wrong.
Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate, and Caden Weegent, they were all had 11 30-plus yard plays. Jacory Barney, Omar Cooper, and KJ Duff out of Rutgers is going to be their starting wide receiver this year. They all had 10. So he was essentially in the top 2 in terms of those long all-purpose plays. He didn't even have a season where I think many people thought was outstanding. And if you look at just the numbers overall, with a system where you have a quarterback that can actually move and extend plays, it's kind of scary what kind of numbers I think he could have.
Yeah, that's great to bring up because I would have never guessed that. And I'm looking at his numbers again to refresh myself. I like against Michigan, of course, he had the Hail Mary and he had a big touchdown in that one too, though, beside that.
Yeah.
But he had 132 in that game against Akron. So he had 132 against Akron yards, 120 against Michigan. So that's 252 of his yards. What I was talking about was when you get to Maryland, which is October 11th,
right,
and the next like 5-6 games, it's doing quick math. It's like 34 yards total over 5 games there in the middle of the season.
Right.
And so, but your point is well taken. He's got that in him, and obviously he was dealing with the quarterback injury at the end of last year. And one of the things I love about Jacory is like he's really big on Calandri, and he talked about it in the spring. But I also love that he's the kind of dude that came in there and stood tall for TJ Lateef. Like he talked him up, and like he's really like a good like type of leader like that. That's not a fake storyline at all. Like how I think he lifts other people up. And so I am hoping there can just be more consistency. And I don't think it was his fault a year ago with those big plays that you're talking about, because he could take it to another level if he gets the right connection going with Calandri, and he can stay healthy. I do think at times he's gotten dinged up a little bit. Don't you think so?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Where it's maybe just taking off just a beat from him or something, but he probably has a few plays too. I would guess there's like 8 to 10 plays he would look back at the first 2 years where they just got his shoelace or something.
Right.
And it could have been, he could have huge numbers if he could keep his feet on a few of those. And I'm sure he's thinking about that and trying to make that a different story.
Squat rack, squat rack, squat rack. Got to get those legs.
There you go.
To where they're not going to get tripped up. Last thing, a lot of conversations about what this year has been for Nebraska overall. They're 8th in the Learfield Directors Cup rankings. We referenced earlier what 95 was for you and for Nebraska fans. Is that how far we have to go back to remember a year where Nebraska was as good as they were in so many sports?
Something like that. I don't remember any very recently. You have to go back to like the Bill Byrne era, I think, where I know, everyone called him Dollar Bill and he wasn't always the most popular, but they did have a pretty well-rounded athletic department with their success back then. So, I mean, I think it's kind of buoyed the spirits a little bit. There's sort of that anxious waiting for football to just take that next step and everything. But when you see, basketball do something historic that took us through March, and then, with baseball and softball to host a regional with baseball, and obviously what the softball team did, it's just, I think it's great to have other things that take up our attention.
Yeah.
As much as I am involved with football, and it's sort of a 365-day a year thing for me. Like there's certain days in April and May where you're like, we don't need to talk about the backup left guard today. Like we just don't need to do it. Like
Right.
You can find other avenues. Yep. And so that's been the refreshing part for me.
No, I agree with that completely. I think we do occasionally need to talk about Gunnar Gatula though, because he's just a good kid and I like his dad.
Fair enough.
Hey, BC, I appreciate it, man. Have a great weekend and thanks for coming on.
Yep. Thanks, Michael.
All right. Take it easy, man. Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7 Sports. Go to break or take the phone call?
Let's take the phone call. That way we can get it out of the way, do odd news.
All right. Bill is on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. Good morning, Bill. How are you?
Michael, how are you?
I'm doing okay. It is still morning.
Yeah, I haven't spoken with you in a couple of years, but I just want to tell you I appreciate your insight and your comments, and I'm pushing 79. I agree totally with what you've been saying. I just wish over the years other people would have listened. So anyway, I just want to thank you, for your comments and your insight.
Hey, Bill, when do you turn 80?
In June.
This month?
In a few days, yeah.
Oh, man, happy early birthday. Are you a Gemini or are you a Cancer?
Gemini.
Oh, okay, cool. Hey, congratulations. Happy birthday. And hopefully the Nebraska can give you a good season to celebrate your 80th year.
There you go. Let's hope so.
All right, take it easy. That's Bill, who's going to be 80 this month in just a couple of days, which is awesome. And June is a great birthday month because it's my birthday month. We come back, Odd News with Odd Son here on Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
and try to keep Jimmy on the rails.
Good luck with that, Dan.
And now we've reached the point in the show where Josh Odson reads the peculiar, the bizarre, the comical, the odd news with Odd Son. Odd news, Odd Son. See what we did there? The odd news with Oddson.
All right, honestly, the only reason I say yes when Matt asked me to host this show is so I can be a part of the odd news. Josh Odson, take it away, sir.
Okay, we got about 5 minutes here, so
you can do it.
We'll try and breeze through this. Now, there's this thing taking place called the NBA Finals.
I didn't know that, yeah.
In Game 1, a fan ran onto the court and took a selfie with Victor Wembanyama. He's very tall.
Right.
He's a Frenchman. He's very tall.
He's
taking the league
7'6".
by storm. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Well, Buffalo Wild Wings sent out a tweet. Internet, help us find the banned fan. He can watch the rest of the finals at B-Dubs on us. Now, the internet is mad at Buffalo Wild Wings for saying you're rewarding this guy being a jackass and running onto the court during the game and police escorting him off. He's banned from all NBA games for life now.
For life?
Yeah.
That sucks.
So, I mean...
listen, man. Life's about promotion. Business is about promotion. This gives, look at you reading it.
Yeah.
This gives BW3 promotion.
Exactly.
That's what I did. Home run. Oh, sorry.
Oh.
No, wrong. They tricked me.
Okay.
Sorry.
A teen has set the world record for assembling a Mr. Potato Head, the fastest, 4.63 seconds. It appears to be feet, mouth, mustache, nose, eyes, ears, and a hat. In 4.63 seconds, a Singapore teenager with nothing better to do.
Yeah.
16-year-old was 15 at the time of the attempt.
Okay.
A good use of life skills, poor use of...
Was this a real potato?
No, it's the toy. I guess it was back in the day.
When I was a kid, they gave you the pieces. You had a real
Mhm.
potato.
Mhm.
Yep. And mom would get mad.
And finally, we stay right here in Omaha.
Oh, okay.
A woman had a dispute over money over at 108th and Reddick. So she decided to just bring out her crossbow.
No.
And settle the dispute. An officer approached the woman and say, "Hey, what the hell are you doing?"
Yeah.
And she said, "That man stole money from me. That's why I have a crossbow." Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of other details. She was arrested and charged with weapons possession.
That is an awesome weapon to be in possession of, though.
Yeah, I mean, if you're giving the lady the money back, or you're getting the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah,
right?
the problem with it is you get one shot.
Yeah,
and you're not going to be. You know how hard it is to reload a crossbow. Really hard, unless you have the crossbow that Chewbacca carried around. If you have that one, matter of fact, one of the best scenes in the new movies is when Han Solo fires Chewbacca's crossbow for the first time and goes, "This is awesome! Like I've never fired something this cool." So yeah, I love a crossbow. It's a good story. I hope that she had got her stuff back.
Yeah, I hope it was. I mean, she was arrested. She was in jail.
Yeah,
that
that's
last report.
Yeah,
but,
that's not great. Maybe Buffalo Wild Wings will give her some free food.
hey, don't be cross. Come here and something like that.
That would be very, very.
You can
funny.
use that. B-dubs is free.
You can just use that. The marketing just spells itself. It's so easy. West Virginia leading 3-0. I asked this question to Josh: if there was $1 million on the table, and you had to sing the Country Road song, and for every word you had wrong, you lost $100,000 of the $1 million, how much money would you walk away with? It's one of the most popular. It's now 3-0 still. It's one of the most popular songs in America. It gets sang at games all the time. Every time there's a game overseas, NFL game, they sing it at the game. I don't know why, but they do. And if West Virginia makes it here, you'll have it being sung at the College World Series. How much money would you have at the end?
I think I could just get Country Road, Take Me Home.
You know the rest. To a place.
Maybe when the music's playing and the people are swaying.
Yeah.
I might
I'd have to have the
more.
music playing.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm like that for anything. I have to have the music playing to help me out. But home run. Is it? Yeah, home run. Is that 3-1 now? I didn't see if
Cal Poly on the
base.
board.
Yeah. 3-1. Cal Poly. Nice job by them. Exit velocity 104. And a big handshake. Good job. I hope West Virginia makes it just so we can sing the song.
Yeah.
Yeah. When we come back on the other side, really cool, survey research that was done by Rivals talking about what it takes for players in terms of size and all of the measurables and all that stuff to be NFL players based off of recruiting and how Nebraska matches up. We'll do that when we come back here. Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Now back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Soul.
Welcome back to Middays with Matt. Michael Sever sitting in for Matt McMaster as he does some moving today. 3-1 still, West Virginia leading Cal Poly. Josh had an interesting point, that side of the bracket. You're going to have a team win their first College World Series game because none of those teams have ever even been here before, correct?
Right. Cal Poly, West Virginia, Little Rock, Troy. Those two super regional winners are going to face each other in the first game.
Right.
Somebody's going to go 1-0.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. One of the cool things about the College World Series, and I'm not as into it as I was when it was at Rosenblatt. It just like the SEC, it just meant more to me when it was at Rosenblatt. So I just don't go down there as much as I used to. But the random fans you would get, the year that Georgia was here forever, and the year I remember the first time, and I wasn't here back in the day when Mississippi State used to come here all the time, but they hadn't been in a while, and Mississippi State fans came back up here with their cowbells and how excited they were and how jacked they were. And that Fresno team that actually beat the Georgia team, that was a 4 seed, and when they came here, and I actually missed when Coastal Carolina won the title. If you remember that year, that's when you had the late rain out, and so they didn't win the championship until Wednesday. They played a day game on Wednesday. I believe that's right. So they played Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So they played a day game on Tuesday to win the title, if I remember correctly. And we would always leave for New Orleans or on a trip, right? We always had it scheduled to leave right after Monday because that's the last game, right? 3-game series. It's over. And we actually were listening to the game while driving to New Orleans. We had stopped at like someplace to get something to eat, and we're listening to Coastal win the championship that year, which kind of just random. It was one of the few times I wasn't around for the championship back then. But yeah, that's I love the randomness of fans you get through there, the people you end up running into. You make cool friends. Arkansas, when they came, that was last year, right? We a guy that I'd known for a long time who works for Action Network and does a lot of podcasts about both college football and college baseball, Colin Wilson, reached out to Colin and said, "Hey, I know you're coming for the event. Would you come on the College World Series show with Josh?" And I think it was Matt. And he said, "Sure." He said, "What time do you want me to be there?" And I told him, and he goes, "Oh, could you get me a parking pass?" And I believe Chris Prudon got him a parking pass.
Whoa.
I waited for him when he drove up, gave him the parking pass. He parked and then came and was on the show and has always been very helpful. He's one of the voters for the Jet Award as well. But yeah, you meet just really cool people. That's more than anything else. Lot D is where I'm assuming you guys still park in Lot D.
That's right.
So you go into Lot D and they have all those. They have a Texas tent. There's a Mississippi State tent. There is a Florida State tent. And those people have been coming here every year, whether their team has been here or not. And you go through and they're offering you food and, hey, come over and have a drink with us or whatever else. It's just fun. It's what makes
absolutely
what makes that event different, because so many of the events, I went to 4 or 5 different NCAA basketball championships back in the day. So I was there in '82 when Georgetown threw the ball away to North Carolina and Worthy goes down and makes the free throw, and then Georgetown loses to North Carolina. I was there in '87 for when Syracuse lost to Indiana. Keith Smart shot. '83 for Albuquerque with the NC State, of course, the short shot. Lorenzo Charles catches and he dunks it. '86 in Dallas when Louisville shocked the world and beat Duke. Those are all had like these really cool feelings, and in some smaller venues. But since then, it's very commercial, right? It's all about the amount of tickets, the amount of people you can get in this giant dome, opposed to the way it used to be. It's not Kemper Arena. It's not the pit. It's still, not Roosevelt anymore, but it's still TD Ameritrade. It's still Charles Schwab Field. It's still, in Omaha, Nebraska.
Omaha, yeah.
Exactly. It's not in some big city. It's not down in Dallas or Houston or even Indianapolis with that giant facility there for basketball. And then the college football one has really changed. I remember the Sugar Bowl in 1980 being down there. And I remember walking It was me, my uncle, I think it was Lawrence, and another. We walked up there and we bought tickets at like 5:00. Game was at 7. 5:00. We bought tickets down at the box office of the Superdome, and went there and we watched this amazing game. We watched Herschel Walker play. One of the greatest players of all time. But it's just little things like that. Obviously now, tickets are $1,000 or, more than that. It's not the fan friendly. Most corporations that are a part of it, that are giving all the money to college football and to the NCAA or whoever they're giving it to, they're giving their tickets to people that work for them. It's just not the same. But college baseball, you could still go down there. You can still, I believe Hy-Vee still has them. The tickets for out and into the the general admission, right? They still have general admission tickets. When I moved here, you could buy a book of 10 general admission tickets for $40.
Yep.
And then you could go, I don't know if you can still do this or not, because I haven't been down there for this. You used to be able to go down the morning of the game and you'd wait in line, and they had these reserve tickets that held back. And you had to pay an extra, I think it was $12, maybe $13, and you got a reserved seat for your GA ticket if you were in line long enough. And in 2005, when Nebraska was here, and that first game they were playing, they had to actually do a lottery because there were so many people there that morning at 6 a.m. They did a lottery to get a certain amount of people in the line so they can go get these reserved tickets. And that's just something that doesn't happen other places. You don't have a corner where you've got 8 flamingos that are all lined up, that when one team leaves, you then take that and have a funeral for that team with the flamingo. And you pour beer and stuff on it, and it's dead now. And you lower their flag that you have, right? I mean, it's still just the Americana. That's what it is. It's Americana. Unlike any of the other one. Now, I think softball is still like that in Oklahoma City. I think. I haven't been to softball since I was at softball in 2001 or 2000. I was there in 1997. I haven't been there since, but I'm assuming it's still close to what it was before. But I know what the College World Series is, and it's still a cool event for people who are coming to visit. And I think if you're going to choose to go one of those big events, and your team's a part of it, coming here is the best you're going to get. You got the NCAA zone, right, where you can go and you throw the baseballs, and you. Do they still have the little basketball court?
They have something basketball related there.
So
yeah.
The basketball court had spots where incredible shots had been made during the NCAA tournament.
Oh, fun. So
one of the spots was where when Valparaiso won, and Bryce Drew hits the shot off of the pass shot, they had that in there. They had the Tate George shot from the corner for UConn. They had obviously the one that I'll hate, the Leitner shot, right? They have all of those where you could stand in those spots and shoot the basketball. I know they're still there. It used to be there when I used to go down there back in the day. Now I just walk to where you guys do the show. I skip all that other stuff. But if you got kids and they have a chance to be a part of that, it's absolutely amazing. I mentioned that there's a really cool research project that Rivals did. And the idea behind was to kind of see from the recruiting angle all the way through the NFL draft. So Rivals 2026 guide to top NFL draft picks as recruits. And I thought this was interesting because obviously we can't measure the heart of a player. We can't measure the desire of a player. You can't measure homesickness or any of the reasons why a guy might not make it in college. We've all seen incredibly talented players get here to Nebraska or other colleges and not work out. But we can kind of say, here's the standard that you've got to reach in terms of height, weight, hand size, average statistics, all of that stuff. So I thought it was kind of interesting looking at it and then comparing to what Nebraska has on their team and see if they have people that fit this. Now, all of these players that they're putting in as these thresholds are all drafted in the first and second round from 2017 to 2026, this past draft. Like, for example, for running back, the average size of the running back drafted from the first round to the third round, By the way, this completely defeats the idea that Steve Sipple has that you have to have running backs over 6 foot tall, which I've argued for years. The dude loves a fat back. You don't have to have a fat back. The average height is 5'10", 201 pounds. That's the average of players drafted from the first round to the third round over the course of these 10 years or 20 years. It tells you a lot about what they have, right? The height threshold, 5 of the players of the 64 drafted were under 5'9". Only 3 of the 64 were over 6'1". Najee Harris, you can say he's had a middling career. Brian Robinson, who is a good backup running back in the league. And then James Conner, who's had a really good career. But it shows you that you don't have to be a really big running back to be the guy who could end up being drafted in the first 3 rounds. I looked at Nebraska's for average for the running back to say how they match up. And because of the fact that they have Isaiah Mosey, Mekhi Nelson, and Jamal Rule all listed at 6 foot tall, and you throw Quentin Ives in, the average height is actually 6'1" for Nebraska's running backs. The average weight is 208 pounds. So a little bit heavier than what Emmett Johnson, who kind of fits exactly in what they had in terms of the weight and the height. But you can go through it and look and see where Nebraska matches up. One of the ones that would be interesting for me is the position that Nebraska has the most questions at this year, and it's defensive line. I think if you ask anybody who covers the team, can you definitively tell me that you know that the guys up front that play defensive tackle and the guys who are on the edge are going to be good enough to win games in the Big Ten? They're going to shake their head. They're not sure. So the average size of these guys, of these 64 defensive linemen drafted in the first 3 rounds of the draft, this is from 2020 to 2026 for 64 of them. 6'3 1/4", 289 pounds, with 33 1/3 inch arms and 9.5 inch hands. Now, I don't have the arm measurements and hand measurements for Nebraska's players. That's something you end up getting at the combine. But Riley Van Poppel, 6'5", 295, bigger than the average. Jasir Winnington, way under the average at 270 and 6 foot tall. Then Stottlemyre right in the middle at 6'1", 290. And then I put Tyson Terry in there as the 4th guy at 6'2", 310. The interesting thing is Whittington at his size, right? 6 foot 270. You would think probably not a lot of guys drafted in the first 3 rounds that's under that size. Believe it or not, 5 of the 64 were actually under 6'2". So you can still get drafted. But here's the average. 46 of the 64, that's 72%, under 300 pounds. I would think if you ask people, especially last year, when everybody was talking about Nebraska doesn't have enough size on a defensive line, they would tell you, oh, you got to have 300-pounders. You got to have 300-pounders. This shows you don't have to have 300-pounders. Matter of fact, only 4 of the 64 were over 320 pounds. So being under 300 pounds, 290, 295, you can be good enough to get drafted in the first 3 rounds. So O'Reilly Van Poppel sitting at 295, don't freak out that he's not 300 pounds. Stottlemyre, who's 290, don't freak out that he's not 300 pounds. We even talked last year, Indiana only had 1 300-pounder, and Iowa had 0. Would you not have taken their defensive lines last year? I know I would have, in a heartbeat. So this is a really good study to kind of give you an idea. If you want to check it out, it is, again, I found it on the Rivals page, and the title for the article, so you can search it, is, and this came out on May 27th. Charles Power did it. Charles was at the Elite 11, and he wrote about the quarterbacks that were at the Elite 11 and wrote a little about Trey Taylor. Rivals 2026 guide, the top NFL draft picks as recruits. And, they have quarterback. They go through all that. Wide receiver. Another example for Nebraska would be the edge position, because I think that's another position that people are kind of concerned about. And does Nebraska have enough? Let's do offensive line first. So offensive tackle. The average size for the offensive tackle drafted in the first 3 rounds from 2021 to 2026 is 6'5", 292 pounds. Elijah Pritchett is 6'6", 325. And Tree Babalade, who's probably going to be the right tackle, is 6'5", 330. So the right height, but much heavier than the average guy drafted. In terms of the interior guys, the average is 6'4", 293 pounds. So Justin Evans is 6'2", 315, shorter than the average, but weighs more. Brendan Black is 6'4", 320, right at the height, but heavier than the average. And then Paul Mabinga is 6'5", 315, a little bit taller and a little bit heavier. All guys with Power 4 experience, as I mentioned earlier, with 109 total starts between the 5 of those guys that we mentioned. But I thought when you looked at what it takes to be a tackle, that is probably the one out of all of them that if you don't hit this threshold, you're probably not going to make it. So they have the arm threshold of plus 33-inch arms, the hand threshold of 10-plus inch hands. All of that is incredibly necessary. Of these guys I was talking about, the 64 guys, 52, actually it's 58 guys, 52 of 58 had 33-plus inch arms. So basically, if you don't hit that threshold, you're not going to go in the first 3 rounds, the first 2 days of the draft. If you, only one of them out of 58 had sub 9-inch hands. Olo Fasciano is the only one that had the sub 9-inch hands and was still drafted in the first 3 rounds. So again, if you want to go through this, it's really cool. It breaks down the 40 times. It breaks down all that stuff. It goes through it in Nebraska. I want to get to, real quick before we take a break, I want to get to the edge guys, because that's the one that probably the second most questions that Nebraska has in terms of their players. The last 89 edge prospects drafted in the first 3 rounds, 2021 to 2026. Average size, 6'3", 233. Nebraska. Noweri is 6'7", 265, so taller and weighs more. Kyle Petchak is 6'5", 265. Anthony Jones, 6'5", 265. And actually Cam Linhart, who we all think is a little undersized, is 6'3", 270 and playing at the edge. So Nebraska's edge guys are more edges that you think from a 3-man front, because you want to have the bigger guys on the edge that essentially then transforms into an Eagle 5-man front. So if you wanted to, you could put all 5 guys with their hands down and have guys big enough to be able to handle and secure the edges. So that's the kind of example they have from the edge guys. But you can go through the list and read through it. It's a lot of numbers, I know, but I think it gives you a good idea of what's required in terms of the measurables. Home run again, West Virginia now. That's a grand slam.
Yeah.
Damn. West Virginia is now blowing it open 8-1 after the grand slam. And are we in the 5th inning?
I think we're in the bottom of the 4th.
Bottom of the 4th.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, bottom of the 4th. 8-1 West Virginia, and they're drinking and they're happy.
Pat McAfee drinking front row.
I'm sure. That's what that was?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Listen, man, I know Pat McAfee grinds the gears of some people. I understand it. He has provided jobs and a living for so many guys with what he has done with his business and made this incredible enterprise. They put a football helmet on when he hit a home run. That's huge, with the visor on. That's really cool. But I love how big of a fan he is of West Virginia, and he's always picking them on the game day show, and even games that are not going to win, though. That's a shot to the opposite field. So 8-1, West Virginia has blown it open against Cal Poly, and they're still getting base hits right there. So check out that article, see what you think about the Nebraska players and how they fit in with what they're saying. Coming up, I mentioned this earlier. I watched Euphoria all the way to the end. Loved the finale. Josh and I are going to kind of chat about some of the great season or series finales in the history of television. There's some really bad ones that are forgettable. There's some that are incredibly memorable. If you have any ideas, you can always you can tweet them. You can email them to me. I'm just michaelsevere@gmail.com. It's easy. You can obviously get it to Josh as well. And you can put your in the chat as well. But some of the series finales that you thought were perfect, whether comedies or dramas or action or whatever. We'll do that when we come back here. Middays with Matt with Josh Dotson, Michael Severe sitting in here on 1620 The Zone.
Now, back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
I have been in this studio we moved to the studio, and I think, if I remember correctly, 07. So I've been in the studio on and off for what that would be almost 20 years. I don't think it's ever been this hot.
It gets hot in here.
It used to get really cold when we first moved here. And you see how dirty that vent is? I used to sit over here.
Mhm.
That vent, stuff would come falling out of that vent.
Yeah.
Out of the air conditioning system. It was really gross, but it get really cold. And I love it cold. I'm a cold guy. I'm not into the heat. And I don't think anything's coming out of it currently, but it's really warm in here. So just so you know, if I pass out, that's what happened.
That's what happened. Okay.
That's what happened.
Good to know.
It is good. When somebody passes out, it's good to know why they passed out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's
and
better.
you can't ask them questions while they're passed out. Hey, what happened?
Unless you like do their dead-be seance. Maybe if you could like read their mind, like Spock or something like that.
That would help.
Speaking of TV shows, best shows, series finales. Again, I watch Euphoria. I mentioned this earlier that there's different ways to end a show. You can go with the Shawshank way of solving everything. You know, Red showing up on the beach with his shoes over his shoulder. He's given a big hug. Everything worked out. They got the money. Everything's good, right? You can have the Sopranos where it just goes to black. And you're like, oh, well, did Tony and them live or did they not?
First time I ever said the F word in front of my parents.
Did you really?
Yeah.
I said
just shouted, what the?
How long did it take you to realize that they just hadn't like gone to black, then they're going to pop back up?
Probably like 6 or 7 seconds.
I know.
Yeah.
Until.
Oh, this was a choice.
Doesn't Simon pop up right there? Isn't it the first thing that pops up? Like his name, like produced by or directed by or something like that?
David Chase.
Chase, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, that was probably what.
Told everybody that it was. I
was like, oh, this was a choice. My cable just didn't go out.
I thought that. So one of my favorite movies of all time is No Country for Old Men.
Great movie.
Which obviously ends.
I have no idea what Tommy Lee Jones is talking about.
Yeah,
at the end of the movie.
It ends and you're like, what the hell just happened? Mm-hmm. But I love it and I'm fine with it. So I don't have a problem with just ending it, but I do have.
I've really come around on that finale, Sopranos.
Good. I have as well. I don't think I was really upset initially because I kind of thought in back of my head that they might bring it back. I don't know why. Okay. At the moment I said, you know what? They're ending this. It's so successful. Why wouldn't HBO just bring this back? Mm-hmm. Obviously it never happened. Tony's dead. But anyway, I kind of thought that. But anyway, I watched Euphoria. Euphoria gave you kind of the Shawshank ending. It showed you what people in the show are doing, not doing. Just kind of gave you answered all your questions and did it in a really good way. Also, one of the big reasons for the show is the showrunner had a really bad drug problem when he was younger and wanted to make a show about real life drug abuse, what it does to families, what it does to friends, and all of that. And so the ending kind of gave you an idea of just the ending for most of these stories is this, right? You know what the ending's going to be.
Okay.
You haven't written it. It's not written, but you know what it's going to be, right? Mm-hmm. Because of the fact that that's how drug users. And he mentions in the post credits that if he would be alive, if he was doing the drugs he did now, he'd be dead because of fentanyl. And so it's also a big part in the show that, fentanyl kills people. But anyway, that was the ending. So it made me think best show series finales. I don't watch a ton of comedies over my life.
I've got a few of those written down.
I watched old ones. Like, I love Sanford and Son. I love the Jeffersons. The one I have on my list that I know the one you probably have yours. I'm going to go with The Good Place though.
Great. That's on my list. Yep.
It's I believe the name of it is When You're Ready to Go.
Whenever you're ready.
Whenever you're ready.
That's what they kept saying.
They kept saying, whenever you're ready, just walk through it. Right. And it's so good. The little things that are in that episode that you take away from you. Great show, by the way. Mm-hmm. If you haven't ever watched it and you want to go binge a show, binge that show. By the way, it shows you that that Sam Malone has been in incredible amount of shows.
Like once every 10 years,
right.
He gets another one that just people attach themselves to.
Even wasn't it Becker?
Becker, yeah.
That's another one that he's
Yep.
had
Just
50 years or whatever of great shows. But I put The Good Place on there because, and that's one of the few comedies. I guess we both agree that Cheers should be on the list.
Yep. Cheers is on mine.
What makes Cheers and Final Episode so good? I just rewatched this about a month ago, believe it or not. Two things happen. Three things. Sam comes back, right? And he ends the show back at the bar because he had kind of walked away. And a guy comes to the door and basically tries to get in. And Sam says, "Oh no, we're closed," which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
But it allows him to walk back to the door, stop at the Geronimo picture, straighten it as an homage to Coach, because Coach had the Geronimo picture in his office. He straightens that, and then he walks off into the dark. It's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what else they could have done to have been perfect than that. What other comedies do you have?
I really like the way The Office ended.
It's a show I never watched.
And they had been filming this documentary as the premise of the show, and then they watched the documentary.
Oh, really?
Yes. It's finally premiering on TV.
After 7 seasons?
9.
No, oh my God. Yeah. So if I remember correctly, and I never watched the show, but Carell leaves after the 7th?
Yeah.
Okay, and then there's 2 more seasons with other people.
Right.
Okay. So that's a great idea, great concept. What else?
I like the Seinfeld finale. A lot of people don't.
Where were you for the Seinfeld finale? Let me ask you that.
Where was I?
Where were you?
I was at my parents' house watching.
Okay.
I still lived at home.
I was working for an NBC affiliate at the time in Monroe, Louisiana. And so we did a watch party with about 400 people at a bar. And we actually gave away a signed script at this that we had been promoting for like the whole final season.
Mm-hmm.
I had gone back and watched all of Seinfeld. I had never seen Seinfeld until I started working at that station.
Okay.
Went back and was watching a bunch of it. It was really easy to do because we had the tapes at the station. I thought it was awesome because I had a live audience. And every time somebody showed up from the past, people were like, "Oh, it's so-and-so, and it's Soup Nazi's back." And so when me and my co-anchor, when we left, because we co-anchored the morning show, when we left, we all left going, "This is awesome."
Mm-hmm.
And then I didn't know until the next day or a couple days that people didn't like it because that wasn't the experience I had watching it. So I thought it was great at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Do you consider MASH a comedy? I mean, it obviously had some funny stuff in it.
Yeah. So I like sort of the snappy dialogue.
Yeah, I put MASH in there.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the way, and that's your Shawshank ending. Everybody's leaving, going off. You know what happened to everybody. Hawkeye figures out why he's got the was PTSD about the baby getting. I don't want to spoil a show from that long ago, but something bad happens on a bus. He can't figure out why he's feeling the way he is, and then he figures it out. Everybody flies away. The helicopter's pulling off, and he didn't want to say bye or goodbye, right? And I think it was Trapper didn't want to say, somebody didn't want to say goodbye, and so they wrote it in rocks. It was just really
right.
It's a great,
still the highest rated scripted television episode of all time.
Yeah, you know what the highest rated TV show or live television show ever is, right? Still most watched.
No,
it's still Nebraska, Oklahoma. Game of the century.
Okay,
but it was only 3 stations, obviously, and it was on Thanksgiving Day and all that stuff, and that's why it had an 80 share or something like that. But this is as close as you can get when you're talking about something that's it's going to be there, and it's ending and that kind of thing. So it was perfect. Any more comedies?
Just I'll rattle a couple off. Friends, I like the way it ended.
My wife did. Yeah,
it was Schitt's Creek and Parks and Rec.
How did you get through the first season of the Creek show? Was it
very quickly?
Okay, because my wife and I tried, and we looked at each other at one point in the couch and went, "We're not laughing."
So yeah, you need it because that's the plot of the show.
Okay,
but also they're horrible people in that season, and they don't the show doesn't soften until the second season. So I totally get how it's hard for some people to get through.
Okay, maybe we'll go back and try to start the second season.
Sort of like the first season of Parks and Rec, where I don't remember laughing during the first season of that show.
Yeah. So I missed the whole, was it Park and Rec, Community, and The Office. All three shows that my kids have watched that I have not watched. But I understand that there's like people love those kind of shows. Let me give you a drama. Oh, did you get all your comedies? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so dramas, a lot of great ones. My Mount Rushmore changes all the time, but the one that will never move is 6 Feet Under.
It's the gold standard for series finales.
Nailed everything about it. And they played into, if you ever watched 6 Feet Under, if you didn't watch it, I'll tell you how they all started. Somebody dies at the beginning and they put up their birth date, death date thing. That's how everything starts, right? Every episode. Well, that's how they ended it with all of the characters, which is awesome. Especially the very last one, because the redhead is the hero of the show. And so they, like Shakespeare, they end with her. And it's perfect. Still remember little tears when I watched it. Like, it was a little misty-eyed.
Sure.
There was something in the air. What about this? This is a little off the track. Final episode of The Clone Wars. Star Wars The Clone Wars.
Oh, okay.
Perfection. You get to see Order 66 from the other side, right? What's happening to Ahsoka as this thing is happening, how she is surviving it, how Captain Rex is helping her survive it. It is incredible. And you've got the scene with Darth Vader walking up in the snow. I can completely give it away, but it's just perfect. Great job. And then along with that, Rebels. Same thing, except the cliffhanger at the end because of what happens with Ezra. But those are two, I know they're animated. Not everybody watches animated shows. These two shows were just, at the end, couldn't be any better. And instead of going farther, they just stopped, which is what they should have done. Perfect. You give me one?
Oh, for dramas?
Yeah.
I liked the way Succession ended.
I never got past the second season.
Okay.
The two guys that I couldn't stand, that I started fast forwarding through their scenes.
They're pretty annoying people on the show. I can't disagree with that.
Couldn't do it. But so I don't want you to give it away. I understand that the dad at some point goes away, right?
Right.
Is it happy? Is it the Shawshank ending? Is it the Sopranos ending? What ending is it?
Everybody gets an ending.
Okay. All right.
So it's not ambiguous. I don't know that it's happy.
Oh, okay.
But everybody gets an ending.
In terms of happy or not happy, but completion, the Americans.
Someone just texted us that.
The Americans
Steve
rallied. Because the last season was tough. I'm not saying it was bad. It was just tough. You were getting this Russia stuff and kind of things in between. The last 5 or 6 storylines, the daughter, the parents, the neighbor, everything wraps up. And it's just perfect. One of the best shows in TV history, in my opinion. But perfect.
I've heard this
finale.
from people.
Perfect finale. I would argue that both Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad both had great finales. I think Saul was better the way it ended. But they both were perfect, I think.
Yeah. You'll find those two on these lists a lot.
Okay. Is Andor on there? Short series, obviously. Only 2 seasons. But I thought Andor just wrapped everything up and made it perfect. Have you seen that on the list?
None of the lists that I looked at this morning.
That's my Star Wars, The Clone Wars, Rebels, and Andor. I think all were really good. It's funny that I put this on because our former producer and in charge of things, Stacy, came in. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Loved the way the series ended. If you've never binged, if you're thinking about binging a show and you just want to say, you know what, I'm going to turn my brain off and I just want to watch a show for 50 minutes or 48 minutes and watch a bunch of episodes of it and see a ton of great guest stars that you now know as real stars, watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Okay.
All the way to the end.
This has been sitting on my DVR and it's a very daunting task.
Okay.
Because it was on for a long time. And we discussed this too. It was back when TV shows were 22 episodes a season.
Yeah, it's why Star Trek only was on 3 seasons but got over 100 episodes. Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm with you. You should do it. I think It's funny.
I think I would like it.
It's
if
funny.
I just got into it.
All the characters are really good. Charisma Carpenter. Oh my! I love my wife.
All right.
I don't know if I loved many women as much as I love Charisma Carpenter throughout that show. And then she left and she went to the other show. Angel. She went to Angel.
Okay.
So loved her. Bamman says, spoilers for Andor. Yeah. Josh says 6 feet under. Hell yes. Angel. I thank you for helping with that. Buffy, way underrated. I agree with that completely. The 6 feet under one gets mentioned, of course.
There was one up a little higher.
Barney Miller.
Barney Miller.
That's a comedy I should have had on the list. That was a show that our family watched religiously every week. And Barney just walks out of if I remember correctly, the precinct is empty. They're closing the precinct, if I remember correctly. And he just turns the lights off, I believe, if I remember correctly. But it's been a long time since I watched that. Dawson's Creek, great finale. I did watch that show. I don't remember how it ended.
I watched a lot of that show. I didn't finish it, though.
I don't think I remember the complete India. Oh, you know what I forgot? Fringe. Did you watch Fringe?
My wife is watching that now or just finished it.
Oh, good for her.
Yeah.
If I could go back and watch that for the first time again, I'd be so happy. Fringe was a show that you never knew what was happening, but you wanted to watch it every episode to find out exactly what was happening.
Okay.
And there's at the very end, I'm going to give away too much, but if you leave this plane of existence and you go to another dimension or whatever, when you come back, you're not the same. And the way they know you're not the same is there's this shimmer that you have. And certain people can see the shimmer. Oh, when the shimmer happens on one of the main characters, you're like, oh my God. That kind of thing. I got a little chills. I got a little chill bumps there. It's a great episode. Love Fringe.
There was one in here I wanted, because it does get brought up on all these lists. Who was saying? David, excuse me. David, Bob Newhart show.
Oh, he wakes up from the dream.
He wakes up next to his wife from the last iteration of the Bob Newhart show.
Yes. Oh, yeah. That is really, really good. I didn't watch that when he's the innkeeper as Bob Newhart. I didn't watch a lot of that show.
That's the one I did watch.
Right.
Okay,
so I watched the original Newhart when he's a psychiatrist, therapist, or whatever. I watched that show. And I remember going back to watch. I watched the finale of the innkeeper one because you knew something was coming. And when that happened, you're like, oh my God, it's her, which is cool. Wasn't it like his original wife too?
Yeah, his wife from the original series.
Right. His original wife. Her name is escaping right now. I got it in my head, but it won't. Oh, Plachette. Suzanne Plachette. Is that it? Suzanne Plachette, something like that.
It's loading. Yep. Wow. Yeah. Plachette.
Yeah.
You would have to change that name if you got into Hollywood.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. But yeah, no, great. Absolutely outstanding finale. And you know what else had that? Is Dallas. Dallas did the thing for you where you wake up from the dream and and he's in the shower and she goes in the shower and he's in the shower and he's not dead, which is I thought it'd been great if he'd have woken up and he'd have been in the water and he'd have been the man from Atlantis, which is the show he was on before Dallas, which would have been cool. But yeah, anyway, and I always thought that I never watched Malcolm in the Middle, but they always joked that at the end of Breaking Bad he should wake up and he was actually the dad from Malcolm in the Middle and had been dreaming it all, which would have been pretty funny. But those are some of our favorites. Again, I didn't watch a ton of comedies, and I don't remember when Sanford and Son ended, it got canceled. They didn't even know because there was a battle over how much money Red Fox wanted, how much Lamont wanted. So a lot of shows ended because of that. Didn't have a chance to actually finish themselves. But those are some that did. So if you like that, you like that. If you didn't, you didn't. Coming up, speaking of not liking things, I have my irrationally angry list that I keep.
Oh, let's go.
It's a running list that I keep in my Gmail that I've been doing for a long time. And I think I have some interesting ones. I have others that are just affect me. But we'll talk some irrational, angry stuff and the list when we come back here. Middays with Matt and Josh. Michael Severe filling in on 1620 The Zone.
Now back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Welcome back. Middays with Matt. Matt's off today. Michael Severe filling in on a Friday in a very warm studio. I have a rational hatred for the, not irrational, a rational hatred for the heat in the studio currently.
Good take. That's why we tell people we need to get the hell out of here.
Juan says the best episode of Fringe is White Tulip. Every episode of Fringe is the best episode. It's such a good show. Bamon said, Eric said, Newhart, great call. Oh, he said Supernatural that is a show that I've thought about going back and watching. I watched the first.
That's a huge undertaking.
I know. I watched the first 2 years, and I went back to look, and I'm like, it was on like 18 years.
Yeah.
So I'm probably not gonna. Maybe when I retire.
I think some network executives might have forgotten about it, and they're like, "Oh, okay, they didn't cancel. Let's just keep making more."
Going, yeah. Do you watch? Did you watch The Boys?
I am on the 3rd season of The Boys. I've read the books.
Oh, the comics?
Yeah.
The graphic novels and stuff. I won't give it away, but incredible reunion. The last season of The Boys, by the way.
Okay.
Incredible reunion.
I read some negative stuff about the last season, but
it's always tough to watch because of what it is. But the reunions are awesome. And I thought the ending was wonderful.
Okay.
People that don't like the ending have a real issue with never mind. Part of our politics. Anyway, irrationally angry stuff. The first one is truly an old man problem. But why? And I know most people don't deal with this, but I write checks. Because of the job I have, I write checks for things. Okay? I do. And with the Jet Award Foundation, I write checks. Why they don't perforate the check well enough to where you can rip it cleanly doesn't make any sense to me. All it requires is a few more perforations or making it one large one where the whole thing slides off like back in the day, but not anymore with the checks. I guess they figure nobody has checks anymore, so you don't have to worry. It's almost impossible to rip a check. I don't care how smoothly you try to do it without it tearing. It's almost impossible. And I don't know why they do that. Okay, let's go. You got to run through these. Okay, here's one. Backing in the stalls. I complain about it constantly. We're in the movie theater. We're trying to get to the movie the other day. This person tries to back into the stall. We get a line of 6 people waiting for this person to back into the damn stall.
Excellent.
We can't get away. We're stuck. We want to go to the movies. You're backing into the stall. You can't back in. You need to go straight to hell. I hate those people. People who don't like dogs.
Connor.
If you openly don't like dogs, I don't like you. Something is broken in you, especially the lady who walks on the trail in the morning and aims her mace at my dog when she walks away like he is going to jump her. This crazy broad who's walking through with this mace in her hand aimed at my dog, thinking my dog's going to attack her.
Just going to guess she's had a bad experience.
I'm sure she has, but don't aim your mace at my dog. It's ridiculous. All right. Hot dog buns. Why have we gotten to the point where we can't make fresh hot dog buns? No matter what brand I buy of hot dog buns, every time I open it up, it starts breaking up. I don't get it. I bought all different brands. Like they're never fresh. What happened to hot dog buns?
We made 1 million of them back in 1974, and we're still going through them.
And we're still going through a great call on that. Question for you. Have you ever gone to a concert?
Yes.
Have you ever recorded a part of the concert on your phone?
Yes, but it's been a very long time.
Have you gone back and then watched
Not
the recording?
a single time.
Why the hell are people recording concerts on their phone? Put your damn phone down. You're not going back to watch that. You know you're not. I know it. I know you're not going back to watch that. I know it. People who complain half the year about it being too cold, and as soon as it's hot, they're like, "Oh, this is too hot." I'm like, we had great weather in the winter. You should have celebrated it then.
That was a great winter we just got done with.
It was a great winter. Personally, for me, I like about 60. That's perfect. Overcast and 60 really turns me on, as Prince would say. I love it. But I'm hearing people already complaining about the heat. It's early on. This is going to be one of the hottest summers on record. Have you read?
It's not even humid right now.
Wait, in this studio it is.
Well, yeah.
In this studio, it is ridiculous. Last thing, when you talk to people and you're in a group, there's always the one person who brings up all the bad memories of you guys' history. Remember the time you got in the car accident? Remember the time you got arrested? Remember the time Johnny overdosed? Don't be bringing up old stuff. We're old now. Let's just talk about good things. Why do we always one person, that one damn person that's always like, oh yeah, remember that time that Frank hooked up with Bob's mom and we all found out about it? Don't bring that up. It's not necessary. Don't bring it up. Why don't be that person. And I'm imagining that the person that's like that is Austin Jacobsen. I would guess he's probably one of those people in a group. I don't know him, but I'm sure he does it. Coming up, we will chat in our fourth hour with Austin Jacobsen from Herd Out Sports here on Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Now back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Welcome back. Michael Severe filling in for Matt McMaster. I'm reading here on this thing that I have that the guest is Austin Jacobsen, who works for
Soft J.
Hurrdat Sports. And he's got a 12-year-old mustache currently.
It is 12 years old. Thank you.
Yeah, not 12 years old that you've had it for 12 years. You look like you're 12 years old. Yeah, I mean, you look a little young with that mustache. When did you start growing it? How long has it taken for you to grow the peach thing you have on your face?
This is a week old. It's doing its best. You know, it's in the infancy.
A week.
Yeah, just a week.
I mean, come on. Seriously.
What?
It's got to be at least a month. It's got to be at least
this is a week.
You have grown that. Brother. That's got to be. You using some sort of fertilizer on it or something? Or how you get?
Well, you know, I don't have a touch of gray like you do lining your cupboards or anything. So
not touch. I'm not even touched.
No. That's a row of gray. Sorry.
It's a lot of gray. Yeah. People call it salt and pepper. I just don't have any more pepper left.
They could call. I mean, right now, this segment we could rename to Salt and Pepper for you and me if you wanted.
Salt and pepper. Do you know any of the Salt and Pepper songs?
Push It, right?
Solid. Very good. Very good.
That's as far as I go. Unfortunately,
do you play the game Connections? So
No.
they have a bunch of games on New York Times. They have Wordle, obviously. Everybody knows. They have a game called Connections. And 2 days ago, one of the connections was 80s rap groups, and they only had the first name. And so you had to guess. So there was like Public was one of the words.
Okay.
Salt was one of the words. Run was one of the words. But they tricked you and they put Pepper up there, which was another connection to try to get you to take Salt and Pepper together. But they didn't get me.
They didn't get
on
you.
The connections. You should watch. You should play Connections. It's a fun game. I play it. My son play it every day. We compare if we complete the connection.
I like that.
Check it out.
Yeah, I'm not one for the New York Times games mostly just because I got addicted to Wordle when it first came out and it wasted too much time on that. So I had to skip off there.
The reason I stopped Wordle, and I think this is what happened to a lot of people, is that I forgot a day after going like 130 something days in a row, and I just couldn't start over. I just physically couldn't start at day one again.
Yeah, I always, you hear that phrase, it's like 21 days to start a habit or to create good habits, and it only takes like 1 day to break it. I find that to be a bit ridiculous. I think it's more or less like when that happens, I'm just like, I just didn't really want to do this, and it was a chore at that point. It wasn't something I enjoyed.
Right. You didn't do it as a group, though, right? You didn't have other people who were doing it, and you guys were competing or texting each other or on a Wordle group or anything.
No, because I tried to get my now fiance into it, and she was busy in medical school, so I think it was just more bothering her. So I didn't really, it wasn't fun for me at that point. And then nobody else really wanted to Wordle with me. You'd be shocked. All my friends don't Wordle.
So this is a real girl, or is this one of those imaginary things that you tell people?
She's a doctor in Canada. You wouldn't know her.
Oh, in Canada, you wouldn't know her.
Yeah, she's a doctor in a different city. You wouldn't know her.
Different city, you wouldn't know her. Okay, just checking.
No, I mean, listen, if you wanted to be an investigative journalist, you could look up. I mean, it's pretty. She is on public registries. Like you can find her, all that sort of stuff. I mean, she has to be a registered doctor in this state to be able to, do her job. So people can find her.
What I've heard though is that you can fake that stuff. I watch a lot of those CSI shows, and
which are always real, right?
They're all taken. They're ripped from the headlines. Also ripped from the headlines, man. What talking about. So how excited are you about? And I know it's a bunch of months away. Is it week 9 where we're gonna have Millard South versus West Side? Week 8. What's the date of that? How excited is that? In November? How excited are you of that matchup?
Yeah, I think it's second to last week of October. It'll be week 9, and this year's matchup will be at Buell. I'll tell you what, I actually am pretty excited because there is the national narrative of Millard South and getting obviously Trey and Tay in. They're going to be pretty good. They have some guys that are coming back. I'm also excited about too. But West Side, I think quietly is really building a very, very competitive team because last year, and it wasn't obvious until we saw obviously the ball get kicked off in the Class A semifinal between the two last year, that there were 3 tiers. There was Millard South, there was West Side, and there was everyone else in Class A. I think that there are the 2 tiers this year where it is Millard South and West Side, and then the rest of Class A after that. And that makes me super excited about where we can see, the competitiveness of it all and how interesting this kind of gets. West Side is deep, and I don't think a lot of people understand how deep that goes with some of the talent they have, especially on the younger side.
Well, they're probably, if I was going to guess, I think West Side's more talented because of the age differences, right? They have more seniors and juniors, and Millard South has more younger guys. I know Trey and Tay are going to be seniors, but they got a lot more younger guys replacing all of the guys they lost last year. So experience-wise, would you, if you were going to point spread it really early, would you make, even though it's on the road, would you make West Side the favorite, or what would you do?
I think you still probably go if we're talking, this is, an actual like booking service, that sort of thing. You would probably put Millard South the favorite. One, it's at Buell, so you get a little bit of the bump there, because there's actually parking around their stadium, so people can get in. So that does help. If it was at West Side, maybe they could control the environment.
I've never had a problem parking at West Side.
Really, you're the first person to ever in history say that. There's no way.
One of my wife's brother's best friend lives at the top of the hill, and I park in his driveway.
Yeah, so don't lie like us common folk out here. There's no way
anyone. Driveway. The Velarde's, baby. I park at the Velarde's driveway.
I feel like I've had to park at the Hy-Vee on Center and walk up the hill to be able to get over there at different times.
Have you parked at the Koji? Have you parked at Countryside Village before?
Not. Is that the move? Is that where I need to be?
That's the move. Park at Countryside Village, not next to where the stores are, opposite of that, facing the street. Park there, they won't do anything to you, and then you can just walk up the hill to it. It's not very far walk. 2 minutes.
I guess to wrap that up, if you had to force me to put like a booking line on it right now for week 9, because we haven't seen West Side and everything that comes with them, you'd probably go Millard South by like 6.5. I think that's probably fair. You get just under the touchdown, but that I do think that as this season progresses, you're going to learn right away in week 1 with Creighton Prep and West Side. Where West Side is. I'm excited about what we could potentially see for them, but we haven't seen them in this iteration nor Millard South's iteration yet. So a lot of things could change.
Typing this up, dear Damon Benny.
I knew it. I knew this was a setup.
Austin
I knew it was a setup.
That you're going to be a 6.5 point.
No.
He just said that. He said you guys weren't very good.
Damon knows how I feel.
Exclamation
point. We talk high school ball every morning.
Talking about this because I'm sad personally. I go to Central games, home games, because my son's in a band, so I go to all the games. I'm there. I'm one of the few band parents that actually care that football's happening at the same time. Losing some of the talent that I've been watching for the last 2 years, they're going to Millard North. How good will Millard North, you think, be taking some of that talent away from Central?
I always like, and you mentioned obviously that there is a direct line between Omaha Central to Millard North, obviously through this past offseason and kind of the moves that have happened. But I really like talking with Alan Burrell last year when we were doing our Camp Confidential series. And I love the energy and the way that he seems like he is always pro kids. Like he's talking about development and everything that comes out. But Millard North had a lot of struggles last year. But once they got going, they became a dangerous team and made a little bit of a playoff run that I think surprised, especially me, surprised a lot of other people too. If they continue that sort of improvement and don't have the week 1, 2, 3 hiccups and hurdles that put them behind the 8 ball early, they could be a pretty dangerous seed moving forward. The only issue is that they do have a lot of new faces that are coming in. How does that all mesh together? And I think that the biggest part for me as well for Millard North is last year, just their special teams needed a lot of help. And they, I think, lost the very first game of the year to Millard West, I think is who they had played. And there was like blocked punts, there was dropped balls, there was just all these like little miscues that put them behind the 8 ball so much. So if you have those sort of issues that continue moving forward, you're going to have a lot of trouble kind of reeling it back in by the end of the season, when obviously your wild card points are so prominent, when you're trying to find your seeding, all that stuff that kind of comes up, especially in just Nebraska high school playoff seeding.
Austin Jacobsen joining us from Herd at Sports, he's also from BFE, Nebraska, where there's lots of parking because there's nothing else there. So it's understandable. Let me ask you about I believe, is it 3 weeks or 2 weeks before Sauter's 7-on-7 camp, any prep camp?
Yeah, we're 2 weeks away, and you could call it a championship. We do give a trophy out for that. So Sauter, he's done a good job putting all that out. I think you can find all that information on Herd at Sports, but yeah, there's plenty of schools.
And Trey's playing it, right?
Trey and Braylon will be playing in that. Yeah. So you'll be able to see both of the top Elite 11 quarterbacks in Nebraska, which, Matt asked me this last week, like when was the last time that was even a remote possibility? It hasn't been. I mean, this is something that's so unique, and obviously it's because Trey decided to move into Nebraska and go join Millard South, but it's a unique opportunity that I think we don't take enough appreciation of, because we go with the narrative that tells you, okay, Trey Taylor is moving in for Nebraska, all that stuff. This puts Nebraska, the state, and its athletes outside of Trey on a map for other
Yeah.
athletes to be noticed and put into the next level, the next stage. And I was saying this last year when it was Jet Tamala and Millard South, that you had national eyes viewing a school in Omaha that was also going. Millard South is playing another team, right? Like they are getting other people to come to those games. And yes, Millard South was going up and down the field on a lot of these teams, but I like the idea that our in-state athletes get some extra eyes and get some extra appreciation. And that's one of the things that I think the 7-on-7 tournament will do. I think that's what will happen in week 9 when Westside and Millard South play. I think that Omaha, Nebraska, high school sports in the state will benefit from a lot of the things that are happening with Trey Taylor because he chose to come to Nebraska.
I think the last time you could really truly say in football that Nebraska got national attention would have been like from 94 to 97, because you had Amon Green was one of the top running backs in the country. Eric Crouch was one of the top quarterback / athletes in the country. And you had a whole group of guys that were really talented. Nationally, people knew because recruiting services were just starting. But other than that, the last time it was like this was in basketball, really. It would have been when you had that grouping of Bellevue West and those teams in Millard South, or right, Millard South,
Millard
whatever.
North. Yep, you're
Millard
thinking.
North, thank you. And you had those guys, those teams. That was a national conversation, and I believe it was one of the few times a live sport was on ESPN during COVID. Right, they showed the game being played on ESPN, so that probably be the last time that national attention was on Nebraska for high school sports.
Well, yeah, and one of the last times Nebraska, any high school athletic was on an ESPN broadcast was actually, of all things, Grand Island, and that was Isaac Trout's team. That was a part of some ESPN showcase as well. So, I mean, yeah, I completely agree just on that circumstance too. And it's so funny because, like, I even being from Sydney, we made it an effort to make sure that we went and watched like Calvin Strong play in the state championships and to see some of those postseasons. I've watched a lot of great Scott teams. Obviously, being out in the Panhandle, there's been great Scotts Bluffs teams. Even with all of those high-profile names and those players, and even with star ratings beside them, they don't move the needle the way a potential 5-star quarterback will do. The same way that Trey Taylor is bringing all that attention into. I mean, we've already seen it. I have been covering high school sports for at least 6 years now, professionally, like being paid to be able to like go out and focus on it. Right. This is the first time I remember ever seeing summer voluntary workout camp footage coming from major television networks inside of the state. I mean, this is bar none, very unique and very different than what we're used to seeing. Yeah,
I agree with that. It's always been a real argument. In your opinion, Sydney or Melbourne, which two of the cities are you a bigger fan of? Which one of them? I mean, one's closer to the coast. The other one's got more good food places. Which one for you?
One's got the Opera House.
And the Opera, of course, the Opera House right there on the coast too. So Melbourne or Sydney, which one are you're more bigger fan of?
I'm actually, I'm a big fan of Melbourne. Sydney obviously spells it incorrectly. The Opera House is overrated. And also too many people like make those movies. And I'm talking straight to Sydney Sweeney right now. There's too many movies that happen that go directly to Sydney, Australia, and just ignore that they're like, what a great vacation destination. Everybody wants to go here. I'm sure they do. Who wants to sit on a plane for 28 hours? I don't. No one ever wants to do that. Come on, Michael. You do not.
I've never
sit on a plane for that long.
Places I haven't been yet. It's not 28, but I've never been there. I've always wanted to go. It's the one place, New Zealand and Australia, two places I want to go still before I die. And I would get on the plane. I sleep on planes, so I'm out. You don't worry about me. I'm unconscious asleep wherever we're going, so it doesn't bother me. But I would love to go to Sydney or Melbourne. Either one be fine for me. Or the Outback, for that matter.
You know, it's only a 6-hour drive to Sydney, Nebraska. Basically the same thing. You know, we have fine arts, we have local eats, we've got everything you need. You never heard of the Silver Dollar Grill?
I went there once, and it was to do a story with the Sat Truck on how your town was ending.
Thank you.
That's the only time I've been there. I'm sorry. It was. I also stopped one time to make 3 different picks on a fantasy football draft because I didn't have any internet, so I had to stop there. And we went somewhere. I was at McDonald's maybe, and did a couple of picks, and then drove the rest of the way.
You'll be shocked to find out that many of us also did a lot of things out of that McDonald's because it did have very incredibly fast Wi-Fi for the town of Sydney.
It did.
Yeah,
it was very
incredibly quick. Yeah,
it was very, very good. So what's your weekend like? I mean, besides your, what is it called? Fiance doctor making you shave your mustache after another couple of days. What else are you doing this weekend?
This weekend, fairly light. I don't really have a whole lot going on. I'm meeting up with Unsportsmanlike Conduct's Josh Peterson later this evening. So if people want to come to try to find us, we can hang out. So we do that.
For what?
What? We can't be boys? We can't just hang out? That could be me and you if you just wanted to be my friend. You'd never. Where could we ever meet in the middle?
What's your middle name, Austin?
Okay, so this is you're not going to believe this, and I mean this sincerely. This isn't
I'll
like
believe it.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm the third child, and my parents were pretty much like just done having kids, and they just like were ready to get out of the hospital. So they meant to say Michael, but they just put an M on, and so I'm just Austin M. Jacobsen.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you know a president? There's a president, one of our favorite presidents, that also has just a middle initial because they did not give him a full middle name. Do you know which president that is?
Yes. I believe it's this is referencing the Wheezy reference, right? The Wheezy lyric where it's Andrew F. Jackson. The F is for phenomenal.
Who's a Wheezy?
You've never heard of Lil Wayne? Come on.
I know Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne's from New Orleans. I didn't know his name was Wheezy.
Of course you did.
Harry S. Truman.
Oh, that's an easy one. I should have known that.
Harry S. Truman. That is not a real middle name. They added it in there just to kind of, make his name sound cool.
Is that like the movie directory that like for the SAG Awards and stuff? Every president has to have like a third name of some sort.
It's like that. So it's like F. Scott Fitzgerald, right?
Yeah.
It was cooler to have F as a first name than to have, I believe, Francis. I think Francis was his first name for F. Scott Fitzgerald. Anyway, we're getting off topic. Have a great weekend. Enjoy hanging out with Josh Peterson. I'm going to be seeing him in about, I think, 30 minutes. I will tell him that he should cancel his plans with you because, why not? Because you have this mustache. So have a great tell imaginary fiance I said hi to, all of that stuff. Have a great one. The Herd At people, they're great people. I love Sasha. Have a great time.
And Austin, thanks. I appreciate it. Mr. Severe, great to see you.
Doesn't love Austin at all. Bye, Austin. See you later. Middle name guy. I like that. That's pretty cool. Coming up, I got to check my thing. I don't know. Oh, yeah. Okay. So I have these tidbits for Nebraska's schedule. Just the Big Ten games. Little things. I went through each game to kind of pull one tidbit out for each one of the games of Nebraska playing in the Big Ten schedule. We'll do that when we come back here. I'm excited about what's happening this weekend, and I know Josh will do that too. I'm really excited about that. But in the meantime, schedule tidbits here on Middays with Matt. Michael Sphere filling in on 1620 The Zone.
Now back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Welcome back. Middays with Matt and Josh. Michael Severe sitting in for Matt, who is off today. Be back on Monday after he's gotten all his stuff moved. I think if you were going to, it's 11-2 now, West Virginia, by the way. Just got
okay.
another couple of runs. They had 2 on, second and third, and ball fell in. Oh, the wind got him. Oh, no, never mind.
Good
Well,
catch.
it happened before that. Nice job. And then did the guy tag up and score?
Yep.
Yes, he did. Nice job. Good base running there. It was a foul ball hitting the deep foul territory about midway up against the fence, sliding catch. So he wasn't on his feet when he caught it. So he tried to make the throw to home plate, but head first slide, safe. Now 11-2, West Virginia over Cal Poly. Next game begins at, I think, 2:00 Central Time. If you're going to make a list of the 5 things I dislike doing the most in the world, I think moving is in the top 5. Like, I don't mind helping somebody else move. Yeah, I did, but now I've been here. So I've been here now since 2002. And when I moved here, my wife had a house and we left there and moved to this. We've only moved once since I've been here. So I've only moved once since 2004.
Okay.
And I don't want to move again.
No, it's awful.
It's horrible. Like, I don't mind helping somebody move. I had a pickup truck for a long time. I'd help people move. I didn't mind doing that, especially if they like buy pizza for you or, food, you go something like that.
I do have an update on Matt moving.
Oh, yeah.
Breaking, the McMove has suffered a major bump in the road. Cleaning crew has not flipped the unit, which is currently a mess. It will be a, quote, couple hours before it's suitable to move into. This was 2 hours ago from Matt McMaster.
This is like when you go to a hotel,
right? Exactly.
And you get there and they're like, "Oh, sorry, we haven't cleaned that room yet. Let us get you a room." And you're like, "You said I could check in at 3." And they're like,
I don't live here. I don't have like all my stuff's in the car.
Right. Exactly. Wow. I think somebody should give him some sort of refund or a coupon or something to that little restaurant that's on the first floor. Something like that. He should get something for that. But yeah, moving, yard work would be on there. Going to a sauna, I think, would be on there.
Okay. Because you don't like the heat.
I do not like the heat. I once was at a place called Thousand Waves. It is in Santa Fe, New Mexico. It's up in a little mountain area. It is probably one of the nicest massage resort getaways you could ever go to. It's all run by these Japanese people that have lived there for a long time. It's incredible. The look of it's incredible. But I don't like massages and I don't like hot tubs. And I decided to do this because I had a coupon and it was not great for me. I got nauseous inside the hot tub. And again, I don't like massages.
I don't like massages either.
Touching
this is great.
Yeah. And so it was not. But if you're ever thinking about a really cool place to maybe go with your wife or fake girlfriend, if you're Austin, you can go to 1,000 Waves in Santa Fe, New Mexico. It's not cheap, but it'll be the greatest experience you've had at a place like this in America. I will put it up against any other place in the country. It's incredible. Are you looking it up? Did you look it up?
No, I wasn't.
Okay, I just heard you type it. Let me look it up. Anyway, it's incredible if you want to check it out. 1,000 Waves. Schedule tidbits. What else I hate doing? It's really not great. It's cooking dinner for a holiday when we're eating at like 11 o'clock in the morning, which means I've got to be up
prep time
2 o'clock in the morning. And you got to nail it at 11 where everything is ready to go. And that it probably involves a turkey or a prime rib or something large meat. And the stress of having everything done at 10:45, 11 o'clock. I don't like that.
That's a real time crunch. Actually.
It is.
Yeah.
I don't like it at all. I will make some stuff the night before, obviously, and you can just heat it. But the other things that need to come out right then, they're going to be good. It's not easy. It's not easy.
I think we'll be ready to serve in 20 minutes after this.
Yeah, because it's
about 3:25 in here right now.
We've been cooked for a while now. Yeah. I wonder when they come in, the afternoon crew, will they realize it right away, or will it take them a little while to grasp how hot and humid it is?
I think it hits you when you hit the door frame.
Right when you hit the door.
Mm-hmm. They'll do the show with the door open most of the afternoon.
That's not a bad idea. That's a heck of an idea. I like that as an idea. I got a text here. Is this about the? That's funny. Yeah, they're not of that color, so that's not true. But yeah, that I don't. It's not my idea to eat at 11 o'clock. What happens is when you have different parts of the family are going to other people's house too, and you're the early meal, and then they're leaving to go to another meal later. So you have your meal early. That's what happens. My brother-in-law and sister-in-law and their kids, they come early because they're going to another one. And then we have some older relatives that are coming from Beatrice that are coming in, and they have to leave early to get back, in St. Paul, Nebraska. So because of that, we have to have the early meal, which is not comfortable for me as the person preparing the meal. But we make it work. And it's mainly Thanksgiving. Christmas, we do breakfast stuff, like breakfast casseroles. So that makes sense. That's a lot easier to do. That one's Easter was not great. Easter we did at noon, and I made a duck and I made a primer. And I actually had to use my neighbor's grill because I needed to get multiple things done, and I only had the one grill at the time. And so I had to have one thing happening across the street, my neighborhood, my neighbors. Thank you to Mike Dugan. And then had to run across the street to spray my thing down. Anyway, yeah. Things I don't like to do. Schedule tidbits. Nebraska's Big Ten schedule for 2026. Week 4 at Michigan State. This is a good one for Nebraska. The Spartans are coming off a road trip to Notre Dame, a Notre Dame team that has a over-under of 11.5. People expecting Notre Dame to be good. Michigan State having to go to a tough Notre Dame team before Nebraska goes in is a good thing for Nebraska, I think. Week number 5. This one is not as tough. Maryland comes here, but the Terps are only coming out for a home game against UCLA, who many people are projecting to be not very good. So that's week 5. Week 6, Indiana. This is interesting. I charted this a couple years ago. Teams in the Big Ten having to go back-to-back road games. The second of those road games, not always a loss, but it is more of a challenge than the first one for whatever reason. Hoosiers are coming off a road game at Rutgers, right? Back-to-back road games for Indiana coming to Nebraska. So maybe I look, Josh Hoover's a good quarterback. Indiana's replacing a lot. I understand how good Cincinnati is and all of that. But out of those 3 games, Oregon, Ohio State, and Indiana, the 3 biggies, I think the best chance for winning is Nebraska playing Indiana for me. And I think this is another thing that kind of leans towards that back-to-back road games for Indiana, even though the first one is Rutgers. But Rutgers is very physical. And anybody who plays Rutgers will tell you how physical they are because Schiano makes sure his team is physical. So maybe that can help Nebraska in week 6. Week 7 at Oregon. By the way, the opposite of the week before, the Ducks are playing the second of back-to-back home games. They get UCLA before they get Nebraska. So not only are you heading to one of the best teams in the country, by the way, I did that thing earlier I told you about with the starts for offensive lines. Oregon, not a lot of experience on their offensive line.
Oh, interesting.
Matter of fact, I went through and I pulled up all of theirs. Let me find Oregon. Here we go. Oregon has, Oregon has, where'd it go? They have
kind of feels like a boom or bust year for
only them. 51 starts in their offensive line.
Interesting Achilles heel.
Just 51 starts. And they have 2 players that are projected starters on the offensive line that I believe only have, where I had that, Oregon. So they have Fox Crater, redshirt sophomore, 1 career start. He's been in 10 games. You have Kuwaiti Rogers, who has played in 40 games, but 0 starts. So most of it's been on special teams.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Then they have their right tackle is Janoris Wilson. I love that name. Janoris Wilson, 1 career start. So 3 of the players on their offensive line who are projected to be starters don't have a lot of experience starting. 1 has 0, and 2 other ones have just 1 career start. Now, I know Oregon's talented. I'm sure they'll be fine, but that is one of the things I looked at in terms of starts and snaps for offensive line. And I can tell you, Oregon, not that experienced this year on the offensive line. After Oregon, Nebraska gets a bye, week 8. Week 9, Nebraska plays Washington. So coming off a bye for Nebraska, Matt Rule in his career at Temple, Baylor, and Nebraska, 3-11 against the spread off a bye. 3-11 against the spread off a bye. But the last 2 straight up wins, 2023, they beat Northwestern. And in 2025, they beat Michigan State. So he had some wins, but he has struggled over the course of his career off a bye. I always wonder if it's doing too much work during the bye week and you get over-prepared, or it's getting away too much and it's rusty because you haven't done enough work. I think there's a happy balance when you're talking about coming off a bye and what you do that bye week. So not sure what they do if they're doing it differently, but like I said, 3-11 against the spread off a bye for Matt Rule in his career. Week 10 is the Friday night game at Illinois. Illinois coming off a road game at Maryland. Nebraska coming off of the Halloween game at home against Washington. Rule so far is 1-2 in non-Black Friday games. Obviously, he's played Illinois in this situation before. We know what Illinois can be. They are replacing their quarterback by week 10. Of course, maybe they'll have a new quarterback in, feeling good about himself and the team feeling good. But that is week 10. Week 11 at Rutgers. Back-to-back road games for Nebraska. NU has not won both ends, I've said this many times, of road games in conference since 2006. Only one team in the current Big Ten that goes back farther in terms of not winning back-to-back road games in conference, and that is Maryland back in the ACC in 2003. Rutgers, by the way, coming off of a Saturday road game against Wisconsin for that game. Back-to-back road games for Nebraska. They have struggled in that situation. Week 12, Ohio State. Buckeyes coming off of a home game versus Northwestern. But it is the week before the Michigan game. Now, this has kind of changed. If you go back into the 80s and 90s, and even parts of the 2000s, Ohio State struggled and Michigan in this week before they were playing their rival game.
Okay, that would make sense to some extent.
Exactly. But not as much recently. Obviously, they lost the games to Michigan, right? They weren't. But recently, in those games before, they've pretty much blown everybody out. They had 2 games that were close. One of them, ironically, was against Purdue, but not a lot of close games in that game before Michigan. Brian Day has kind of got it figured out. They can figure out a way to, of course, prepare for that big game, but at the same time, play well the week before. They just haven't played as well in that big game. And then lastly, Friday at Iowa, Hawkeyes are coming off a road game at Illinois for that final game of the regular season for Nebraska. I'm not saying that Iowa game is the most important game of the season. I'm not.
You're not saying
Not saying that. We talked about Washington being a game that could really make the difference between maybe 7 or 8 wins if you think they can get to that point, that it is a real crossroads game for them. I get that. The must win against Rutgers because it's a team that you're going to be favored at in the back half where you don't have a lot of teams you're favored against. I get all that. But not saying they have to beat Iowa. But Josh, listen to me. They got to beat Iowa, man. Dude.
It would go a long way.
Dude, you want a better offseason next year?
Mm-hmm.
You want an offseason where people feel much better about yourself? You feel better about yourself? Everybody feels better? Beat Iowa. Go in there, make up for 2 years ago when you didn't give up one conversion on a third down to them, and they managed to beat you in ridiculously cold weather. Win that game. It's not a night game this time. It's a day game, 11 a.m. Everybody's going to be dealing with coming off of the tryptophan from the turkey. Everybody is. Win that game, dude. Matt Rule, if I ask one thing you could ask for Christmas or the Tooth Fairy or whomever else you ask for favors, Iowa. Beat them. It's a rivalry No matter what anybody calls it, it's a rivalry. They own you. Beat them, please. For the sake of everyone who lives in this part of Omaha, where we're only 2 long fly balls away from the state of Iowa, and have people that are neighbors of yours who are Iowa fans and fly the Iowa flag.
Co-workers
who are Iowa fans. Beat them. Please, Matt Rule. Please, Nebraska. Please, Caleb Benning. Make a play. Beat them. That's all we ask for. Don't ask for a lot in life. Just beat Iowa. Coming up, what to watch. This is where Josh tells you what to watch.
Good segment name.
It is a good segment name. It perfectly explains it. When we come back here, Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone. Welcome back. Time for what's happening, what's going on, what's on TV. Real quick, Tommy says definitely going to find out about Jeep's O-line against Indiana and Oregon. By the way, Indiana has one of the most experienced offensive lines in terms of starts and snaps when I did the charting, opposed to Oregon having one of the least experienced. But as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, Iowa had the least experienced out of all of them in their projected 5 starters. What you got?
What to watch? The NBA Finals continue.
No way, that's going on?
Yeah. Game 2, the Knicks have a 1-0 lead over the Spurs. I know that shocks some people.
Shocked me when you told me.
7:30 tonight on ABC. Tomorrow at 7 on ABC. It's Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Finals. Carolina and Vegas. We brought you through that this morning.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
That series tied at 1. Baseball this weekend, Guardians, Rangers, those are 2 major league teams. 7 o'clock on Apple tonight. The Royals also on Apple at that same time. I don't know why they do that. Up in Minnesota to take on the Twins. Sox and Yankees tomorrow night on Big Fox. And then Giants, Cubs, your game of the week on NBC. Sunday. They have baseball again on NBC. Super Regionals going on right now. West Virginia clobbering Cal Poly as expected. 11-2 in the bottom of the 8th. So you get 4 today, 8 games tomorrow, and then anywhere between 4 and 8 games on Sunday. WNBA tomorrow on ABC. They got a doubleheader. Seattle, Minnesota at noon, followed by Golden State and Vegas. Golden State now has a WNBA team.
What?
Yeah, the Valkyries.
Is it in San Francisco or Oakland?
Same arena as
okay.
So San Francisco. Yeah. And finally on Peacock, new documentary for you to watch. It's called Lorne. It takes a behind the scenes look at Lorne Michaels' career from his early work in Canadian television to the creation of Saturday Night Live.
I would check that out.
Yeah.
I would check that out. By the way, Michigan State, the most experienced offensive line based off of the 5 projected starters. 147 games started. 108 games started, but 147 games played in, over 7,800 snaps for them. And then the other team that has the most would be Rutgers. They have over 9,500 snaps.
Whoa.
In terms of their starting 5, projected starting 5. But Indiana, as I said, very good. 119 starts, 156 games. So those are some of your best ones. And Oregon and Iowa having the fewest amount of starts in terms of offensive linemen. Thanks for joining us for the show today. Coming up, of course, Unsportsmanlike Conduct with Josh and John. Is there anything special I have to say?
Not just bye on this.
All right.
Yeah, and the crossover is next.
Okay. Love each other, and the crossover's next.